The tour through the regular season makes its way to the Heartland in the first intermediate outing since a nail-biting Las Vegas visit not too long ago. The 8th race of Season 6 is here live from the virtual Kansas Speedway, where we welcome you to the Tornado Alley 210 for the Sunoco Cup Series. Here in virtual Kansas City, welcome to our coverage on Podium Esports, where alongside DJ Clark in the booth, my name is Kenneth. When Ryan Bauer producing all the shots you'll see tonight, he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. DJ, the last 3 races have seen 3 different winners take to the top of the podium. Tonight at Kansas is where we're coming off of a fantastic finish 1 season ago by 3/1000ths of a second. We had a great race at Las Vegas not too long ago in a similar 1.5-mile configuration, and as we dive deeper into the heart of the regular season, we may just see the racing amplify and intensify further than we've already seen so far.
Yeah, I certainly think so, Kenneth. We are dealing with a track here that is just ripe for good racing. 17 to 20 degrees of progressive banking in the corners means many lines to be able to take around here. And with as much give and take as we've seen over the course of this season, I see no reason why we couldn't maybe go 4 for 4, get our 4th new winner here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different people win races this season, most notably the last couple of weeks. Steven Stempien at Las Vegas, Talladega belonging to Aaron Adcock, and then Brandon Banks taking over the field in the 54 car and winning at Dover Motor Speedway. Now, believe it or not, Kansas Speedway tonight is only the second 1.5-mile track, DJ, that we're visiting this season. You don't really count Atlanta because that's a super speedway, but Las Vegas was so great. A lot of different grooves of options, and tonight might be just the same thing. We're probably going to see a lot of great strategy, and more so for the drivers, more so ordinary racing in some way of sense.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a return to form, that traditional stock car racing that we've come to expect over the past 20 years by these NASCAR machines. But the one big difference I think that we're going to have in between our running at Las Vegas and the running here today is this is a day race, up to 114 degrees Fahrenheit out on the track right now. And so I think that's going to be a big concern for these drivers. They're going to have to worry a little bit about tire wear. They're going to have to worry about that Goodyear rubber cooking underneath them. And we're going to have to see who's able to manage it the best, because that could very well be the difference between a position in the back of the field and standing on the top step of this podium.
Yeah, it's true. You only have a couple of sets, and they're limited for sure, so you're going to make sure you use that to the best of your ability. We talk about new different winners in this Sunoco Cup Series, at least as far as Season 6 is concerned. We'll talk with one of them who just got the win last week at the Monster Mile Dover Motor Speedway. This is Drinkin' Bros Racing's Brandon Banks in the number 54. We're joined by Brandon right now. And Brandon, I have to ask you again, I know you talked about your elation and talked about how tough it is to win a race in this series, but to finally get that win, how nice does it feel to kind of come into this week with a little more relaxation at hand and to try and either go for more wins or to bring your teammates along with you for playoff success?
Oh yeah, it's huge. Like I said, just finally get that monkey off my back. That's really big. So I mean, just now we can actually go into some of these races and be a little more aggressive and see if we can get some stage points and kind of set ourselves up for the playoffs. I said we have a pretty decent car here, so there's a couple really quick guys in here. Just try to keep up with them and try to be there at the end.
And nothing says riding the high of momentum than leading practice right now. We're seeing you at the top of the board. You finished in the top 10 the last time we were here at Kansas. So is there something about this track that you tend to find and that favorites your driving style, or just in the case of, like you said, being more aggressive might just help you maybe be able to get a couple of positions better and maybe win a second race in a row?
This after about 10 laps, this track tends to spread out a little bit, and it kind of works into my favor. It's a big tire eating track, so we're pretty good at saving tires, and this track is really all about just kind of hitting your mark, over and over again. So pretty good at that. Like I said, we'll see what we can do. The biggest thing is just trying to stay out of trouble here at the very beginning until we get it kind of sorted, and hope everybody kind of just be a little patient here and just kind of get it strung out so we can actually have a good race tonight.
And here at Kansas, we know that the top side usually is the most dominant, but are you trying to experiment with different lanes in practice, and are you going to see a lot of that experimentation on your side in this race?
I think you can maybe make some passes on the bottom, in the middle, towards the beginning of the run. It's going to be really tough. I think it's going to be really who can save their tires the best, because it's very difficult to pass, because once we get spread out, it's pretty much a one lane deal across the top. So, and you just got to pretty much save enough tire to
to get in front of somebody. It's tough. It's really hard to pass. The track position's going to be huge, and but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can mix up some spots here on the very beginning, and I don't know, just try to be there at the end. That's the biggest thing.
All right, well, we know that first win at Dover Motor Speedway certainly was a great one. You're already locked into the playoffs, so there's a lot of good things you could carry over for the rest of this regular season and, of course, for the playoffs later this year. Brandon, we thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck as we take the green flag in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Kev.
So that's Brandon Banks in the 54, and he was absolutely over the walls with his win at Dover. Of course, his first one of the season and the one to lock him into the playoffs. And we know his DBR teammates, Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel, also very strong. Although they don't have wins this season, he might just bring his friends along for the tally. We'll try and bring in the next driver who we'll interview before we drop the green here from America's Heartland. We'll talk with the number 9 of Bill Schoonover. We'll firstly check if he's all right to go. And as soon as we can do that, then we'll drop Schoonover in here. And he comes into this race with his best finish of the season last week at Dover and the Monster Mile. That was 15th, and right now pretty good in practice, I'd say, Bill. P6 right now with your time on the board, and after that 15th place finish at Dover, I reckon the momentum for you positively starting to build up a little bit, no?
I'm hoping it's leaning that way. I've had a little bit of bad luck early in the season. I mean, yeah, last week, just got to be patient, you know, like last week, and this was going to be a tire race or a tire saving race, I believe, and just got to stay out of trouble, the main thing.
Of course, staying out of trouble, very big, keeping the car clean. And you talk about there, the swing of momentum hopefully continues to turn towards your direction in the next couple of weeks. What does it take for that type of situation to happen? Does it take just one good race? Does it take a monsoon of different types of races where you have to keep your head in it? What does it really take to have a tough season at first turn into a better one later?
In this league, I think it's going to take a lot of patience because I'm not normally up front. These guys in this league, they're so fast, and I can't figure it out. I know I should get more seat time, but I just can't get as much seat time because I'm so busy. But to me, you just got to be patient. Don't try to get to the front right off the bat. That's normally my thinking, and just see how it plays out and avoid the mayhem. You know, the last couple of weeks we've had quite a few accidents, cautions. It's just, and that's part of the reason I believe I was up there in 15th. You know, avoiding the wrecks. That's a big part of it.
And how do you attack this Kansas Speedway? It's under the daylight, very hot track temp, different from Las Vegas not too long ago. How do you attack this racetrack and make sure you can keep the nose in one piece and try to be there at the end for the win?
Well, it's first part of the run, I believe, you know, you can hold it on the bottom, maybe make a pass or two, but as the tires start getting hotter and hotter, the first couple laps, it just doesn't handle good at all. But after about 3 or 4 or 5 laps, it comes in good, and I really think it's going to be the high side, and you got to really watch out for coming off of 4. It seems like a lot of drivers are hitting the wall off of 4.
Well, nonetheless, it's going to be a lot of fun, Bill, seeing you and the rest of the Sunoco Cup Series out on the racetrack tonight from Kansas. An amazing 15th place finish, rather, as I should say, last week at Dover Motor Speedway. Hopefully things continue to escalate in the right direction for you tonight in Kansas and moving forward. Bill, thank you so much for joining us, and obviously good luck in this race.
All righty, thank you guys.
So that is Bill Schoonover, currently in the top 10, P6 on the practice chart. So maybe there is a lot of speed behind the wheel of that number 9 car. Him and Brandon Banks so far really at the top of the charts here in practice. We'll see if they can try and carry that momentum come race time. Now, again, DJ, like I mentioned, this is the second time only that we visit a 1.5-mile intermediate oval in this Season 6 schedule. We saw Atlanta to kick off the year, but that's categorized as a super speedway now. You don't really have a lot of 1.5-mile action, at least in terms of the regular season. So now, as we move forward to the rest of the calendar, what does tonight and the rest of the schedule mean for the field as we get closer to playoff time?
Well, it's going to be a little bit of a return to normalcy, as it were. Obviously, we head to Darlington next time out, then Charlotte, Gateway, Watkins Glen. That's going to be the one that I really watch for, to throw things for a little bit of a loop, running the road course there. That's going to be a big, big question. And then I love the fact that we end our regular season at a little bit of a roll of the dice here, going to Daytona. That's going to change things up, but watch for it here. Watch for drivers up front of the field to, if they're able to do well here today, they're not going to have that many intermediate ovals to come to over the course of the regular season. But once we get into the playoffs, look at that. We got more than a few to be able to work their way in there. So I think we could see some forbearance of drivers here.
Yeah, that's true. We do see Atlanta again in the playoffs, but we see Texas and then the season finale at Homestead of Miami Speedway. Safe to say, if you're a driver that's good at these intermediate tracks, you're going to make the most of whenever you see them in Season 6. And DJ, take us through this Kansas Speedway. We saw a phenomenal Cup Series race here in real life just a couple of hours ago. What does it take to get around this track with a lot of pace and grace?
Well, the biggest thing around here is not actually your pace. It is, as our drivers alluded to, it's about saving those tires. You want to try to run as long as possible into the stint and make those tires work. The high lane is preferred around here. That tends to be a little bit of the fastest way to go. But because of that progressive banking, you can make it work on any side of the track. 45 miles an hour pit lane down here as they dive on in. The other interesting thing here is we've got some pretty significant banking both down the back straightaway and through the tri-oval here at this point. It's actually 9 to 11 degrees, still progressively banked through the tri-oval. So I think it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially coming out of restarts, that we're still going to continue to see 2, maybe even 3 wide coming across that start-finish line.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. You've got so many lanes of availability here at Kansas, and we're going to see a lot of drivers ripping that outside wall. Let's take a look at the race analysis before we get to the start of qualifying, or at least dive down the trackside and see what the drivers are putting in terms of lap time. We go 140 laps total, 210 miles, and just at 336 kilometers. Stages go like this. We have stage 1 and 2 at 40 laps apiece, and then our final stage will bring us home at 60 laps total. That's probably where we're going to see a bulk of the strategy come from, DJ. And really, if you're a driver, you're looking at that third stage, right? It's first 2, maybe it's just about setting yourself up right for the end of it, get some playoff points and some stage points, but really 60 laps for the end. That's really the marker and where you're really going to have to test your mind and your strategic notebook in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. And crucially, keeping tires in the bank for that last run of 60 laps. These cars should be able to make 40 laps, no problem on a tank of fuel. So I don't think we're going to see any green flag pit stops being of necessity during those first 2 stages. But once we get into stage 3, you're definitely going to see a little bit of that strategy call start to work its way around, and it's going to be very interesting to see what drivers decide to do.
And for them, 4 extra sets of tires on the pit lane, so you're really going to have to maneuver those in the best way possible. And we might see, like we've seen before this season, DJ, a lot of those drivers going for extra saved sets instead of immediately just banking for them all the time. Here's Colin Forrester, the rookie out of Fast Banana Racing, and came off a really tough outing at the Monster Mile just 1 week ago, where he found himself in trouble early, set the fastest lap of the race by far, or at least the fastest average lap, but dropped all the way to 39th after starting 3rd, being involved in a heavy collision on the back straightaway. And then here's Talladega winner Aaron Adcock in the number 23 for Big Fish Motorsports. Both of them putting laps in right now. Forrester fast enough for P8 as it stands, and the 23 of Adcock still yet to put in a time.
Yeah, you can see here is they're going to have 2 laps to be able to put together here. I'm not sure I necessarily like the strategy from Adcock here at this point, taking it down low early on. And what I think is going to be is you want to run high on that first lap, build up as much momentum as possible, and then make the second lap your go-for-broke lap, your absolute money lap.
Well, the interesting thing here, DJ, at least in terms of Kansas Speedway is concerned, is that you kind of have different options of qualifying lane choosing, where in most 1.5 mile tracks, you'll dart for the bottom as for the fastest time. You'll be at the top before to get the most momentum off of the final corner. But here you can wrap the top around the entire track and still be relatively quick. So it really is just a matter of choosing where you think it's going to be faster, where you're more comfortable driving the car, and that's what makes Kansas so unique. Although it looks like a lot of other 1.5 miles on the schedule, it's one of those cookie cutters, as you would call it, but it really comes down to the nitty-gritty details and where you want to put your car and how fast you think you're going to be and how comfortable you are as well. Here's Casey Knighton coming out of turn 4 for the qualifying time.
And we're seeing all drivers here cutting down on the apron. That is perfectly allowed as Casey's going to come across the line. That's going to put that car into about 11th position here, last of the qualified runners. But I believe Casey's got one more lap in the bank to try to put it together here, so may try to be able to get a little bit more out of it. No, excuse me, that car is slowing, so that is going to be Casey's day done and dusted. It'll be no better than 11th place. Meanwhile, here is Isaac Mock as he brings that car. Talking about what you were talking about there a little bit, Kenneth, taking some multiple lines. He's choosing to go through the middle of the circuit.
Yeah, trying to pick the best of both worlds, I guess, and now going for the top here in 3 and 4. This is the first lap for Isaac Mock, now going to cross the line for the second. An interesting cut down. DJ just trying to kind of diamond it through the exit of 4 and then chop it all the way down to the bottom, get the most momentum. We'll see how the second lap goes and how he takes the approach. And yeah, you're right, just going directly for the middle in between those dashed lines in the 47. Isaac Mock coming off of a top 10 finish at Dover despite some early trouble and looking to bounce back for his team, the 47 car for Nitro Motorsports.
Yeah, and interestingly there, we didn't see Isaac cut down to the low side there as he went around, although Parker Bland able to put a great lap together down into P2. All right, here comes Mock cutting down onto the apron. Let's see what that's going to give him. No better than P12 is Steven Stimpian. Now the 8140G, let's see what he's got. He's going to come across the line, bringing it on down into the corners here at this point. He comes across right now. That's going to be provisionally P9 with one more lap to go.
Stempian's got a lot of room left to make a better lap out of this one. So far inside the top 10. Stempian, the winner of the last time we were at a 1.5-mile intermediate track that was at Las Vegas underneath the lights, and he was oh so close, DJ, oh so close to winning at Dover Motor Speedway. He had those laps to catch up to Brandon Banks. He could not do so. It was in a fantastic battle near the end, and this 81 could have already possibly had 2 wins on the year. He's going to cross the line here, and that's going to be the fastest out of anyone so far. 31.204 for Stempian. 0G might just have pole after all.
They might indeed. That looks like it's going to be a pretty tough thing to try to beat, but we've still got plenty of time left to go here. 3 minutes left to go in qualifying, and over half the field still to put in a time as they run. Jesse Whittingham, though, in the number 94 machine, working his way around. He's in 18th right now, but he was doing what I was talking about. Build up momentum on that opening lap, and then go for it here on the money lap.
I'm going to be honest, every time I watch these onboards, DJ, this track scares me more and more. And honestly, I'm not the greatest at driving this track just because of how close you have to run up there. I always find a way to hit the outside wall. But watching these guys, it just looks so easy for them. Jesse Whittington puts in that time, and that's a pretty decent lap, 31.287. That's going to be good enough to put him inside the top 6 or so. Justin Erb, though, going to topple Stempian, 31.179 out of the driver of the 20. So it looks like Stempian won't have the top of the charts to himself. Justin Erb out of nowhere.
Out of absolutely nowhere with a gap of 25 thousandths of a second. That's a pretty substantial gap here. We're seeing other ones down into the single thousandths of a second. Oh, as it looks like Stevens there may have made contact with the outside wall. That, of course, is going to invalidate his lap if that's true.
Just kind of had a piece of that outside wall. Here's Mario Miranda, who faced a very interesting race at Dover last week. Got into contact with Zach Wilson on one of the straightaways, and then unfortunately was removed from the race for the amount of cautions that he had caused. It was a really up and down affair for the driver of the 99, who had been the most dominant driver, DJ, by any means necessary at Dover. Now has to rebound here at Kansas, where he came home second by 3 1,000ths of a second. You have to remember that if you were right there to the line, you were so close to the win, and as Miranda puts in this time, that's going to be the fastest out of anyone, 31.178 to beat Justin Erb. And it looks like redemption is on his mind here in America's Heartland.
Yeah, but it's going to be excuse me, I had to sneeze. That's going to be Lawson Peel that is able to take it away from him by a big margin there of 43 thousandths of a second. So Peel up onto the top. Let's see what Joe Mahar's got to say about it.
Here's the 46, Joseph Mahar at the Ford Mustang. We'll see what Mahar can do driving his car. He is the driver for SK Sim Racing, although he's going to tag the outside wall coming out of turn 4. That's something you can easily do. You hop on the throttle a little too early. That car drifts up the track. and then all of a sudden you have yourself a visit with the outside wall, but a contact, and that invalidates your lap time. Here's Warren Kyle Keith in the number 24 for SKM, has put in the first lap of the 31.555, currently 25th, but looking for a lot better. And DJ, a former winner here at Kansas Speedway, so maybe it's something, someone he can cook up some of the magic he's got behind the wheel of the 24, running the top side out of the final corner. We'll see what he can do.
Setting personal bests here as he comes to the line. Let's see what Warren Kyle Keith is able to put together. That's going to be a jump up into 18th. Not going to be nearly as much as he would like, and that's going to put him solidly in the mid-pack.
We'll see what that 24 can do once we drop the green. Qualifying is ended. We'll take you trackside for the starting grid, and it is defending series champion Lawson Peel in the 12, leading us to the green flag. He's got Mario Miranda to his outside. Boy, have we seen these two drivers tangle all season long, two of the heavy titans in this Sunoco Cup Series. Right there behind them in row number 2, you'll find Justin Erb with an outstanding qualifying effort for TOW Racing. He's got Steven Stepien in the 81 to his outside, looking for that win after the heavy loss at Dover Motor Speedway just 1 week ago. Brennan Banks, the winner from last week at the Monster Mile, lines it up inside the top 5, and rookie Colin Forcer looking for a rebound after Dover. He starts in P6. Ross Harlow in the 5 rolls off from 7th. TOW Racing represented by Parker Bland as the 18 car will start in P8. Austin Reedy, the winner last time we were here by 3 1/1000ths of a second, will look to go 2 in a row at America's Heartland. He starts in 9th, and Gary Sexton in the 13. DJ Clark rounds out the top 10.
In 11th place, it's going to be Jesse Whittington in that number 94 machine, followed by Austin Shoemaker lining up to his outside in the number 14. Then behind them in row 7, it'll be Zach Wilson for Roll Tide Roll, followed by Spirit of Daytona Racing's Kevin Hurley in P14. P15 is Alex Muscarella, followed by Curtis Kelly for Fast Banana Racing in the number 71. Then it's going to be Ryan Kendall, the independent driver, following, lining up to the inside there of Warren Keith for SKM. Moving back into row number 10, though, it's Wyatt Brackett and Chris Shoemaker to round out your top 20.
Well, Wyatt Brackett will get an end-of-line penalty before we drop the green. That's where he set his time in qualifying. Brad Fulham will start 21st. Richard Swavely on the outside for SheriffStrafe.com Racing in 22nd. Ray Rogers, the Florida driver, in the 11 is 23rd. Bill Schoonover, who we just talked to not too long ago, he is 24th when we drop the green flag. Isaac Mock is 25th. Alongside him, Talladega winner Aaron Adcock for Big Fish Motorsports. James Kunkel is 27th. 28th will go to Joseph Bahar, who had his time invalidated on lap number 2 for hitting the outside wall. The final 2 inside your top 30. Kip Easley in the 8th. Garrett Brown in the 16th.
Moving back in row 16, it's Chuck Phelps. To his outside, it's Casey Knighton in that number 84 for Big Fish Motorsports. Then behind them, Travis Stevens and Dakota Wilson for TOW there. In row 18, it's Chris Progar, followed by Dakota Curtis 40G in that number 10 machine. In row 19, Justin Winters and Judd Danielson. And then we move back into the last row here. It's going to be Sean Kalist rounding out your 38-car field.
Bunch of drivers, not exactly 40, but still a bulk of drivers in tonight's field. Lawson Peel, Mario Miranda, those two who will be the first to see the green. Those two first and second on the Sunoco Cup Series all-time wins list. Miranda sitting at a beautiful 17 wins. Lawson Peel not too far behind with his dominance as of late. He is 14 wins on his career, although he has yet to pick one up this season. Surprisingly enough, could tonight be the turnaround. Pace car is down, ready for the green flag in this Tornado Alley 210 from Kansas Speedway. Lawson Peel and Mario Miranda lead us to turn 1 for the first time. And crash on the front straightaway near the back of the field. Chris Progar has met with the outside wall. We saw some smoke as soon as we got the green. Caution is out before we can complete our first lap of 140. And you can look at Chris Progar's face, obviously frustrated. DJ, you do not want to find yourself in an incident before you even make the first corner. Just looks like a hiccup here on the opening jump.
Yeah, looks like a little bit of a checkup there, and there you see a big hit from Progar getting into the front of the car in front of him and then getting a little bit of a love tap from behind. That's just a big checkup here as we get going. I think a little bit of nerves here for these drivers. We're going to ride on board the mystery machine right now of Wyatt Brackett for Fast Banana Racing. Got a bird's eye view of that whole incident.
And Brackett had that end-of-line penalty for disconnecting after the meeting, or the driver's meeting. And looks like he's at the back, but fortunately he picks up no damage. For Progar, though, he picks up some front-end nose damage. He's the only driver really affected in this incident. Everybody else with that stack up, they seem to be A-okay. So before we even cross the line for lap number 2, we immediately get our first caution, and Lawson, Peel, Miranda, Stempian, Herb, and Banks your top 5. Obviously, no surprise that nothing really has changed among this group, and they're all going to pick up with the iRacing official pace car. Now, Lawson Peel has come off a string of some good races and some tough races as the defending series champion. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure, but Peel knows what it's like to win at 1.5-mile races, and we're joined by the DBR number 12 here right now as we're on this first yellow. First of all, welcome, Lawson, to our broadcast on Podium Esports, but most importantly, I got to talk to you about your season as of late and how you feel going into tonight's race from Kansas.
Yeah, it hadn't been going great, but not terrible. Certainly got wrecked just right off the bat last week. You know, got involved in something that wasn't any of my own doing, which was unfortunate. Just don't need anything like that to happen tonight because I'm pretty confident. It's one of my best tracks. Won here last year. Got wrecked in the fall, but I felt like I could have won that race also. So just need this race to go my way. I feel really good. Track position's really important. It's impossible to pass almost. So looking forward tonight, and hopefully it goes well. We need to get a win.
And for sure, we know that your teammate Brandon Banks picked up a win not too long ago at Dover Motor Speedway. What are your feelings after that one, and how does that ring up the momentum for not only him, but for your entire team to get more of you guys in the playoff standings, you and Joe Sanchez?
Yeah, that was awesome. I hate it. I wasn't on the track when it happened, but yeah, I was super pumped for Brandon to get his first win here in the Sunoco Cup Series. Man, he's one of the cleanest guys out here, and he deserved it. He's had one coming for a long time, and I was on the couch last Sunday night after I got wrecked out, just hooping and hollering because that was awesome. Yeah, Joe and I need to get a win. I feel like I can do it tonight. This is a really good opportunity for me, and Joe's, you know, he's week in and week out, brings consistent speed to the track, so he could win at any time. I'm sure he's going to get him one. So hopefully, yeah, we can, all three of us have a win come playoff time. But yeah, awesome to go ahead and get Brandon locked in there. That's huge for the team.
And now you on the pole for tonight's race at Kansas. In the last 3 1.5-mile races, you finished in the top 10. Your worst finish out of that group was 8th at Las Vegas. So here now, what are you going to try to do to keep yourself ahead, get some points in the first 2 stages, and then try and wrap this thing up with the checkered flag in hand?
Yeah, you know me, Kenneth. I love the 1.5, 2-mile tracks, and anything that I feel like I can spread out and just play the air game. And if we get a long run here tonight, I feel like I'm going to be pretty good. So, yeah, certainly one of my favorite tracks. Man, I'm going to, you know, it just breaks my heart losing the old Atlanta, and, you know, now that Auto Club's going away. I mean, I feel like those are the, you know, 2 of the best tracks that we have, certainly ones that I love and I feel like suit me. So, you know, Kansas is part of that group that's slowly dwindling down, and just really enjoy racing here, and hopefully it goes well tonight.
Well, so far doing a good job of it. Hopefully we can get a proper restart this time around. I see your good friend Kyle Benson's in the chat saying amped up on the Chick-fil-A. I guess I can agree with that, but hopefully looking for your first win here from Kansas. Wishing you the best of luck on the restart.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out, Kyle, and thank you, Kenneth.
All right, Lawson Peel gonna start this one from the pole, just like he did on lap number 1 before we obviously got that first caution. We'll talk quickly to Mario Miranda here, who's second on this restart, second to start this race. And Mario, things were really tough at Dover Motor Speedway last week. You have a history of second place finishes here at Kansas. What's it gonna take to turn things around here?
Not finish second. I think I ran out of fingers on my hand to say how many times I finished second here. So I really love this track. It's basically like my home track to me, being that far from Tulsa. So I have to do well and, you know, come back after Dover, because I'm not happy with what happened at Dover. So I kind of want to make a statement here today that I can be a clean driver, and I can be a driver who can win races without having that reputation I have.
Well, nonetheless, Mario, we know you've got a lot of pace. We know you've got a lot of fire in that belly. Thank you for joining us, and best of luck on the restart.
Thank you.
That 99 car on the outside of row number 1 for the green flag here on lap number 6. After a quick caution with Chris Progar and company, Lawson Peel leads us back to the stripe for lap number 6 of 140 and back on the green flag. We'll see what it can do in turns 1 and 2. Clean jump so far for the field battle, already developing for fourth. Ross Harlow underneath Brandon Banks in the 54, but so far your top three all in a single file train. Everybody else at around 3 and 4 wide. DJ, some of what you kind of talked about at the top of the show. There are a lot of lanes, a lot of options here at Kansas. You can really race, especially off of the restarts in the entire field. Spread out amongst the racetrack in turns 1 and 2 this time.
Yeah, really fanning out here as everybody's trying to search for the grip. And you heard a couple of drivers, including Lawson Peel, say that they thought track position was going to be key. So I think off of these restarts, you are going to see drivers absolutely going for broke. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Fans out of 3, almost 4 wide across the entire field. And then there's a little bit more of what I talked about. That progressive banking that continues on through the tri-oval, just allowing for more of that side-by-side racing through the field.
And in the first 30-odd minutes of our broadcast here on Podium Esports, I've been taking away that theme of this place being hard to pass at, and that's the same in real life. It's really tough to pass on the bottom. We've got that entire train running the top side. On board with Alex Muscarella for SKM, the number 48 machine. Muscarella came off of a topsy-turvy race at Dover Motor Speedway last week. He came home 27th after starting in 36 and had an absolutely amazing run through the field before things ultimately went awry. He's kind of stuck in a battle at around 15th, where Chris Shoemaker in the 4 cars ahead of him, Parker Bland, Austin Reedy, Austin Shoemaker, and as we watch side by side between Justin Erb and Brandon Banks, things get very hairy and a bit of contact.
Yeah, it looked like they wanted to throw a little bit of a slide job up on the field, and that just didn't quite play out to the tune that they would like it to do, and that's what you've got to be careful about. That's going to be your best way to get by here today, I think, especially as these tires start to wear on a little bit. Watch for drivers throwing those sliders through the field, but you have got to make sure that without question you are clear by the time you do it.
And that's true, and obviously got to make sure that slide jobs are perfectly executed, because the last thing you want is drivers to make contact and end up in an incident. Fortunately for Justin Erb, he clears the 54. Not much resistance for Banks this time by. Understands that, hey, it's a long race. We've still got a long way to go into the end of stage 1. I'm not going to pressure myself any more than I need to. Here's a good battle further back through the field. This is Isaac Mock in the 47. We saw his qualifying time running the middle of the racetrack just earlier on, and looking at the battle ahead for P20, Garrett Brown and Ray Rogers. Garrett Brown coming off of a top 3 finish at the Monster Mile a week ago, and it's kind of interesting to see how things change week to week, DJ, between the drivers who end up doing well at the shorter tracks, and then when you open things up to larger tracks, how they perform after that, how they want to carry that momentum, especially for those without wins, to try and get into the playoffs as Mock goes head-to-head with Rogers for 21st.
Yeah, and I like there what I saw out of Mock. He was just waiting back, holding back, picking a lane, waiting to be able to see what he was going to be able to do. And it's a very good point there, what you made about those drivers just trying to pick up the points, trying to pick up those playoff points as they go along. You have got to be thinking long game here in this Sunoco series. You cannot be trying to take this race by race. You need to be thinking about accumulating those playoff points. It's interestingly there, Mario Arenda running that low line and doing it very well, preventing Stympian from getting any sort of run, and that's actually going to open up the door here to Colin Forrester to maybe have a little bit of a run on Stympian.
And the last time, that 99, give him the fastest lap out of your top 5 at a 31.463, faster than your leader, Peel, who's at a 31.593 the last time he crossed the stripe. So maybe Miranda's got some things cooking, although he's going to go to the high side here and get the dirty air of that number 12 in front of him as Forrester and Ross Harlow move on the bottom side of the racetrack. There's Harlow, a champion in this series from a couple of seasons ago, looking for what would be his second win on the calendar year after winning at Richmond earlier in April. And so the 5 using the bottom, and again, just a testament here, DJ, to the amount of lanes that you can use here at Kansas, and it just depends on driver comfort and where they seem the fastest, whether it's being in the place of hugging that inside lane, or whether it's being right up against that outside wall, trying to be like an inner Kyle Larson. You know, there's just so many things, so many places that you can kind of utilize to your advantage at a place like Kansas, and just try and see what works and what doesn't in terms of tire wear too.
Exactly, and that's really one of the great things about here, about Kansas Speedway, is it's really kind of the perfect encapsulation of what we talk about when we talk about these cookie-cutter ovals. They kind of got this absolutely nailed here at this Middle American racing circuit, that you are able to run these multiple lines. You're able to balance tire wear versus everything else, versus speed, versus grip levels, all of that. As we watch Aaron Adcock working down to the inside here, you can see a couple of drivers starting to performant, but then interestingly, as they come off of the line, as we expect them to do, they come off of the corner, they all slip up back into line, and spread out again when they go through the corners.
And Aaron Adcock, one of those drivers to use the middle here at Kansas, turns 1 and 2, although he's going to have a fight from Kip Easley on the bottom side. Dakota Wilson, the third car in this group so far. This is the back half of the top 30, at least. This is around 26th, 27th out on the track. Easily able to pick up that spot, and so far, Kip Easley with up 2 spots since the drop of the green, make that 3 as we'll cross the line, and timing and scoring will officially reset. The 23 will back out the line, and now we'll have Dakota Wilson to challenge on the top. Here's Wyatt Brackett, who had to start this race from the rear, got over that first lap incident on the front straightaway, and make that 3 wide for 27th.
Gotta say, that's a little bit of an aggressive move there from Wyatt Brackett, but I also understand the impetus for him doing it. He started with that EOL. He wants to try to get his way through the field for 2 reasons. One, you just want to finish higher up in the field. That goes without saying. But the second part of it is you want to get out of this back half. You want to get out of the mid-pack. You want to get yourself into a position where if an incident does take place, you're able to be in front of it.
That's true, and also goes back to what you said about being aggressive early on, right after the restarts. Wyatt Brackett, one of those drivers who he just wants to get out of the hornet's nest, right? He wants to be further up in the field. He wants to be in a place where he can at least strategize himself into a top 10. He's really going to force the inside, make that 4 wide in 3 and 4. Dakota Wilson and the 23 of Adcock in the middle. Judd Danielson coming out of nowhere on the top side, and contact between Adcock and Brackett. Brackett's going to slide through the grass, and that is something you do not want to see. If you're Wyatt Brackett, all your progress absolutely shunted in front of you, as it looks like the 31 of Colin Forrester making a pass on Ross Harlow for P4.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get that move done, but I got to say there, Brackett is a little bit unlucky to be able to come out on that, but on the other side of the coin, he is a very, very lucky boy. That could have been a lot worse. He was able to catch the car, bring it back down into the grass, and keep going on. And thankfully, at this point, he hasn't lost touch with anybody. He's still right in the mix of everything, back in 36th position, so he'll be able to work his way back forward if he's able to cool those tires back down.
And the good thing is, as well, we've got stage racing, so he can just have those cautions, lap 40, lap 80, go his way. And let's say if things continue to go poorly for the rest of this race, just a bit of an unlucky situation there. No intent by either party involved, although Brackett's going to hit the wall going in at 3 and 4. So things dealing for the worst right now if you're that Cartoon Network machine. Another car on the wall right in front of him, but a look on board with Ray Rogers, the Florida native. The 11 car going underneath the independent Ryan Kendall in the 68, who has built up some solid finishes this season. And Rogers, one of the best in history, DJ, when you look back in time at these 1.5-mile tracks, most notably with the Gen 6. I think it felt like every week back in like 2021, the booth and myself will always talk about how good Rogers is on long-run pace here at tracks like these. Right now, just trying to find his footing at around 22nd, but we know just how good Rogers is. And for this Toyota team, for RTR Motorsports, they're going to try their best to move up to the field. Him and Zach Wilson currently around the top 22 or so.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job of running that lower line up in front of him. That number 68 machine holding off a little bit of the pace. That's Ryan Kendall, and he's trying, I think, here to get down and get a little bit of clean air is Ray Rogers. Kendall's doing a good job of just kind of blocking it off. Granted, Kendall doesn't have a whole lot else to go. Is up in front of him. That's Isaac Mock and Garrett Brown kind of fanning out across the track and really and truly just creating an absolute logjam.
And you say that as well. It's kind of right. You're feeling a little bit of a lull here. 23 laps in, tires are wearing out, and like we've heard from drivers before the show, it's so difficult to pass, especially when you're at the bottom. So I guess right now it seems like there's no other, as I would say in Spanish, remedio. There's no other option. There's no other place to solve things. You're just kind of running where you are, and if you struggle, you struggle. If you run well, you run well. You might just be stuck in line as a result. Brandon Banks appears to be falling off the pace. He has significantly dropped back to 11th. Saw Warren Kyle Keith in the 24 get the best of him before turn 1. Looks like that 54 starting to struggle a bit. Not sure if he's tapped the outside wall or not, but those tires not doing well for him right now.
Yeah, I don't see any damage there on that number 54 machine necessarily when I took a look at it on my screen, but that doesn't mean that there's not a little bit of a problem there for him, and he could just be experiencing a little bit of degradation. Remember, we are halfway through this first stage here as they run, and that's going to be the first tire stint. And so drivers are going to have to be watching out for that. They're going to have to be keeping an eye on their tire wear. And if I were them at this point, I'd be using this as a test bed. Feel how hard I can push the car a little bit, and if I fall back through the order, let it be okay up until that lap 40 pit stop.
Yeah, that's true. As you watch a battle here, Gary Sexton in the 13, the 20 of Justin Erb, and Sexton coming off of a 4th place finish last week at Dover, and then even in the week before that finished 4th at Talladega. Some great finishes building up for the driver of the 13, Curtis Kelly, in a bit of a traffic jam right now with Justin Erb, as we talked about in the 20. And how about the winner last time we were here in the fall of 2022, Austin Reedy in the 96. Boy, has it been somewhat of a quiet night so far for this 96 car, but we know what he could pull off, especially here where he led so many laps on the way to his 3/1000ths of a second victory over Mario Miranda in the closing laps. Reedy just kind of holding his own right now in the top 10.
Yeah, holding his own here, and I've been watching Reedy just a little bit, and it looks like here that he's pretty content where he is. He feels that he's far enough in the field that he's not going to run into too much of a problem here if he tries to, if there's an incident that takes place. There's a great run there for the 96 of Reedy, and now he's going to get that move on. He just feels, I think he was tired of waiting around behind Herb there.
And that was a quick decision there, kind of swerved down to the bottom. It almost looked like he was going to chop the rear bumper off of the 20. And even worse for Erb here on this situation, turns 3 and 4. He had the 24 Warren Kyle Keith come up on him, and that was a quick pass completed for 9th. And now here comes Brandon Banks looking back for his money, although he'll tap the outside wall, entering the corner. And again, a testament to why drivers like me, the general drivers, are so scared, at least me, for running here at Kansas, because you run so high up in the outside wall, you make that mistake, and all of a sudden you're scrubbing so much time off. And for the 54, it's exactly what you saw right there, just getting a little bit too antsy there on the gas, sliding up the track. There's not enough grip to hold the corner, and then you're in the outside safer barrier before you know it. As Austin Reedy climbs up to 7th, and a nice battle further back. This is for P14, Alex Muscarella, Parker Bland, I believe former teammates at SKM, going at it.
Yeah, Parker going to be down to the inside here. Going to try to throw that little bit of a slide job on the number 48 machine. Doesn't really need to get that too aggressive with it, but look at the crossover here from the 48 of Muscarella. Certainly got a little bit of a run down the back straightaway. Maybe a little bit of a love tap there to the back of Parker Bland. A little bit of a how you doing. I don't think he's going to be able to carry it, as indeed Bland's going to be able to hold on to that position. Good run for the TOW machine.
Trying to look for a crossover that will make Kyrie Irving proud, but so far, nothing flashy so far. Parker Bland slides up into 14. Had a really good qualifying effort, put the number 18 car into P8. So far, Bland running the high side. We know a driver that likes to run the outside wall. And currently now going to charge on Jesse Whittington for SheriffStrafe.com Racing, the car right in front. As here's a look at the side-by-side action for 7th. Austin Reedy now under charge from Warren Kyle Keith, who only continues to pick off positions. And something to note, Warren Kyle Keith is a former winner here in Kansas. Don't get things mixed up. His 24 is fast right now and up so far 11 spots since the drop of the green after starting 18th.
Yeah, he is our second biggest mover on the day. So the SKM driver looking very, very strong here at this point. And I think it's pretty interesting the fact that he is running close with Austin Reedy as one of the drivers that we've really pegged down as one of the big movers here at this point. But now they're going to come up against Colin Forrester and Gary Sexton. I think at this point, Forrester up into the wall. And I was just about to say, I think Forrester may have run his tires a little bit ragged, because look at that gap up in front of him.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. He was in that fight with Ross Harlow, and the highest he was P4 on the racetrack, and he has since dropped off of Harlow and now into the clutches of Gary Sexton and Warren Kyle Keith, and make that almost 4-5 cars in this group if they can bring in the 96 and the 71. Here comes Sexton with a dive down to the bottom. The 0G Ford will make its way underneath and might be able to slide up at the exit of 4. And look at that, 13 wearing out the right front, tagged the outside wall, brought the 24 with them. Here's the 96 to make it 3 wide for P6.
Good heads up there from Austin Reedy, recognized an advantage. He's going to run around the outside, tries to keep it off the wall, and is unsuccessful.
He could not hang on to it. He does get the betterment of Forrester here as he drops back to P8. And Reedy will try and look again at this 24 car who just got over him not too long ago. They're going to try and catch that 13 of Gary Sexton. Make that so far, looks like 30G Ford Mustangs inside the top 10. And it looks like we did have an announcement by league owner Dakota Curtis earlier before we got started, DJ, that team 0G going to be moving over to Toyota-powered machines in the next season of Sunoco Cup Series action. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they deal with Toyota power behind the hood. But so far, Ford's working well for them. Single file through around your top 10 as Forrester will again look on the inside of Austin Reedy. And now here is Curtis Kelly under fire from Brandon Banks.
Yeah, Banks trying to be able to move his way up through the field, as indeed he's been able to get by Kelly. Kelly's going to try to make a little bit of a move. We've got side-by-side up in front, up in front of them for a moment. And behind them here is Shoemaker and Whittington trying to go at it at the moment. Trying to make that a little bit work. And they've got to watch out. The 31 of Forrester continues to fall down through the field, and he's going to be right involved in it as well, unless they're careful.
Well, the good thing for Forrester here, much like those others in the field that might have burned up their stuff early on, is that we are just about 5 laps away from the end of stage number 1. So race control will call the caution in a couple of laps time once we get to lap 40. And so for Colin Forrester and for others who maybe think that this run is not going their way, their tires are fully worn out, they can get that fresh set of Goodyear Eagles and have it with the rest of the field. They'll be on par with everyone as Jesse Whittington only continues this climb through the field after starting in 11th, and it looks like he's at around the same place where he started. We're going to look for top 10 here with Justin Erb. Remember, this is for at least 1 point off of the stage points. We haven't talked about that too much through the season, but playoff points and normal points are awarded by being in the top 10 at the end of the stage. So a lot riding here for Whittington. Rides really high off of the outside wall. We're going to look on an attack with Justin Erb here in just a couple of moments.
Yeah, the 94 thought he was going to try to roll the speed around the high side, but Teddy Ducks down low here, going to have that run at the moment on Erb, but it doesn't quite look like he's able to get it done. The 20 is going to be able to hold him at bay for the moment. This battle's certainly not done yet, as they're going to be coming to the line with 3 to go in this stage. A little bit of side-by-side farther back in the field. This is going to be Muscarella, and I believe that's the 11 of Rogers down to his inside. Rogers throwing a good slider.
And he makes that move happen for P16. We'll see if Muscarella can answer back with a call of his own. Isaac Mock in front of them, sitting in P15. Again, none of these for stage points as it sits right now with Austin Shoemaker behind this group. We're on board with the Barstool Ford Mustang sitting in 18th, and the Prestige Worldwide Racing Car to make his way underneath the 48, but it's a little loose at it too. We'll have to back out. Here comes Richard Swavely for an attack, and a really interesting pass for position, or an attack for position on Justin Erb from Jesse Whittington. Not successful into the final 2 laps of stage number 1, and this battle has been brewing for a little while, DJ. We just haven't had it in the spotlight. Ross Harlow underneath Mario Miranda.
And this is going to be for those stage points, those playoff points that we're going to be looking at here at this point. They're going to be perfectly parallel, coming off the back straightaway and trying to make it work. A 5 of Harlow down to the inside as we get a little bit of a side-by-side perspective there itself. It looks like Miranda's going to be strong enough to be able to keep him at bay here as they come off of turn 4, but almost getting up into the side of each other. They've got to be careful. Harlow's tires, he's been good about conserving them, but 40 laps into the stint, they're pretty gone.
And the 5 car, he's going to look to do whatever he can to get this position, and he won't. Miranda holds on to 3rd. Caution flag waves, and the playoff points will go to Lawson Peel, winner in stage number 1 by about 2 seconds over Steven Stampian. An absolutely dominant first 40 laps for the 12. No worries about traffic anywhere around him. The Chick-fil-A car so far with the best performance of the night. And it looks like for that last spot in the top 10, it'll be Curtis Kelly in number 71, Justin Erb, and Jesse Whittington. Not close enough to get to that respective group. So it looks like first 40 laps are done and dusted. If you're any one of these drivers, DJ, what kind of notes have you taken so far to maybe work forward into stage 2?
Well, I'm taking big notes about what my tire wear is, how it's feeling, how it's doing. And I'm also taking notes here when it comes to those sliders that we've seen. That seems to be the preferred way to be able to get on by a driver. Chuck it in down low, let the car run up high, and that's going to be the way to be able to make a move here today. So I'm going to be looking for that to be my offensive move. I'm also going to be calculating with my team to figure out how to strategize against those moves, because we know they're coming.
We know strategies are at play wherever you are on the racetrack. Here's our entire driver wall, and we can't tell strategy from all of their faces, but we know they've been focused all night. They've been wheeling these race cars, and we'll keep tabs with them. Bit of contact entering pit road. That was a stack up between Peel, Stempian, and Miranda. Not sure if there was damage assessed to either of them. I think they're going to be able to escape harm-free, but just a bit of a scary moment there entering the pit lane entry as the entire field comes in. Nobody's going to stay out, DJ. I think that tells you just how a majority of the field is feeling right now. Either they're struggling or they're having a great time, but they know they're dealing with tire wear as the 81 fully oversteps on his pit stall by about a couple of stalls, and that's going to lose him a lot of time.
And indeed, that's going to lose them a whole bucket load at a time as they'll have to reverse back down into pit lane. Looks like the cars are already starting to roll off here at this point. Lawson Peel, your leader, going to come right back into the lead of the race. And a little bit of argy-bargy coming off the line.
A little bit of some aggression and some side-by-side action. Looks like a really quick stop for Warren Kyle Keith. That's going to get him into P2 with a 14.6 second stop. More on the other side from the Tornado Alley 210 here for race number 8 of Season 6 in the Sunoco Cup Series. Lawson Peel out on front right now on Podium Esports.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Fuller. Yeah. Need an F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide. Even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
There is Max Papis in the Ferrari. As great a race as Ferrari has ever won.
The steering wheel for me has always been a sensitive spot. There's a whole experience there that we're all trying to refine. Max Pappas, he asked me one day, he said, what can I do in a wheel? I said, well, with the new
What got into you? At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
One stage down, 2 more left here in this Tornado Alley 210 from the virtual Kansas Speedway. Welcome back to our coverage on Podium Esports. DJ Clark, Kenneth Bueno, along with you for the action. Ryan Bauer, our producer, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lawson Peel, the overall dominant driver, DJ in stage number 1. Watch that 24, though. He's been ripping the high wall, and he has been on the move. We'll see what he can do when we get the green flag.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. I'm watching that number 24 off this restart. He has been the hot mover here at the race. Let's see if the hot hand continues.
Green flag once again here from Kansas Speedway. Second of 3 stages here in the Tornado Alley 210. And a quick getaway by the 12 of Lawson Peel. No pressure entering turn 1, but a lot of pressure for second on back. The 54 looking on the 24. Ross Harlow spoiling the party. It's a sea of Camaros out of turn 2.
Yeah, Chevy running up at the top 5 right now. Your first non-Chevy is going to be Gary Sexton running in the 6th place position right now. indeed up in the top 10. It is, I believe, 8 Chevy, so it looks like they've got the dominant performance here. But Warren Kyle Keith, I thought he was going to be able to keep up a little bit better to the back of Lawson Peel, but he's, as we've got an accident coming across the stripe.
And it's a 13 of Sexton involved, the entire field trying to get around him, but Sexton involved in a scuffle. Now more cars involved. Bring in Curtis Kelly. Looks like Justin Winters among those that are caught up in the mess on our second caution of the evening for incident on track. And it all started with the 13 of Gary Sexton. DJ, what happened here?
Well, let's see. A lot of movement there, Gary. Oh, that is just a little bit too much of antsy driving. I think that was Chris Progar, potentially, that we saw in the number 7, moving this way and that, and it just looked like that car wasn't completely underneath them there as they tried to be able to make that move. Very, very unfortunate. Excuse me, that may have been the 71 machine of Curtis Kelly.
A quick switch of direction right here. You'll see the 71 hop out of shape and then tag the 13. And as they crash along the outside wall, or at least the 71 does, there's Justin Winters in that green Chevy Camaro that comes swerving into the lane. And there's Kelly getting himself back settled. And it just looked like a typical case of next-gen handling, DJ, where you switch direction so quickly the car immediately gets out of shape. You get sideways, and for Kelly there, who was just looking on a move for Colin Forrester and ultimately turned out to be his demise there on the front straightaway.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a look on board here with Austin Reedy, who had a perfect bird's eye view of this entire situation. Yeah, that next-gen handling just coming back to bite, moving this way, moving that way. And I think they could have gotten away with it potentially, but there was just that little itty-bitty bit of contact there that was enough to be able to send those cars spinning around.
You looked on board with Austin Reedy, who was on the back end of that entire situation. He gets around clean, and so does a majority of the field, as there's another look at it from the start-finish line camera. Curtis Kelly going sideways, and boy, that does look scary for that cameraman. The car's going up to the wall. Colin Forrester also with a deal to the safer barrier. It looks like he's going to have a trip on a pit road right now to get his car repaired. Again, as we have mentioned so far, over through this season, there are no faster pairs in the Sunoco Cup Series, so whatever damage you pick up, you're going to have to repair it and spend that time with it on pit road. Here's what happened to Justin Winters, and I believe the case of just getting tapped from the rear end by Sean Kalist. Got sent sideways. Everybody does a nice job of getting around, and here's another look at it from a higher angle. It just looks like they're all just trying to check up, but not enough there for Kalist. Makes that little bit of contact.
Yeah, here as we ride on board with the 43, you can see the 88 there just kind of moving down the track of Winters. Winters, I think, just not fully aware that he had that other car behind him. And as he tried to get out of the way there, the rest of the field just not really complying there. And that's just a little bit of an unfortunate situation where you've got two drivers both trying to go for the same piece of real estate, a little bit of target fixation up the road for Winters. That'll be enough to send them both back down through the order.
Again, second caution of the night for incident on track 3 total if you include that caution for the stage break at lap number 40, and things settle with Lawson Peel at the front. But the driver behind him has been on the move, like we said when we came back from break. Started 18th and is now up to 2nd, and will have himself in 2nd place for this next restart. We're joined by Warren Kyle Keith in the 24. Warren, you've been on an absolute tear. What has been going on inside that car? Because you've been on a roll and on a mission so far.
I don't know. It was just, I don't know. We're just doing what we need to do. You know, we missed a couple races earlier in the season, so just trying to do what we can for points. But I appreciate pulling me up here. I just hope it doesn't jinx me.
Well, hopefully not. I know I'm terrible at commentators' jinxes. I really pray and hope that things do not go awry for you. But you've had a great race so far. What are you looking like for the second stage in terms of strategy?
Oh, who knows? You run the bottom, it burns up the right front. Run the top, burns up the right front. It's just going to be, you know, try to hold your line and see what saves tires the best. But seems like we do that pretty well. We started marching forward. See what we can do in the second stage.
Really quick on the long run, really quick so far tonight. Warren, thank you for joining us. Best of luck on the next restart.
10-4, thank you, thank you.
Warren Kyle Keith, or as we like to call him, 4 names sometimes in the Sunoco Cup Series circle. He's going to rile up the inside of row number 1. Lawson Peel so far has yet to see a challenge for the lead as we take this next restart. Green flag, lap 50 of 140, and now DJ, more of a challenge by the 24 entering turn 1.
And that's a little bit more of what I was thinking about from Juan Kyle Keith. He's going to hold that car down on the low line. We're going to be Noah's Ark through the corner as Brandon Banks and Harlow are going to be side by side behind him. But just a little bit of an edge there for Lawson Peel is going to allow for that number 12 to pull out into the lead. And now Warren Kyle Keith's got to be a little bit careful. The 54 Brandon Banks was spying up a move to his inside, or his outside.
Brandon Banks, remember, teammate of Lawson Peel at Drinkin' Bros Racing, so Warren Kyle Keith kind of caught up in a DBR sandwich, although Ross Harlow is trying to split the difference. Here comes the 54, a look to the inside in turn 1. Can he make this pass complete? He'll have some drafting help from Harlow on the bottom of the racetrack, but the high side will pull that 24 back with the momentum. They make contact on the back straightaway. Banks is sideways. He brings WKK with him, and around they go at the apron. The caution flag now waves. Race control throws it. I am so sorry, Warren Kyle Keith. He goes around and caution is out again.
Oh my goodness gracious. Commentators curse coming back to bite. Just a little bit of it seemed like never-ending contact there going down the back straightaway there, Kenneth. It just seems like those cars had magnets on them bouncing off one another.
I'm going to have to send him a gift or something after this because we just brought him up for the interview. He had been running so well, and there was the contact that sent both of them around. Now, this is not enough damage to take them both out of the race. That's the good news. The bad news, though, is that track position for both are going to be shattered at this stage. And there's another look at it from Ross Harlow's perspective. Just a bit of contact. Just hard racing at that stage, DJ. And right there is where the cars get unsettled. They get sideways, and there's not much you could do to save them.
No, there really wasn't a whole lot that you were able to do there at that point, and I think that was completely and totally what I would call a racing deal. Both drivers running hard, coming out of turn 2. You saw moving up just a little bit into the side there of WKK, holding it down there a little bit. Keith just holding that high side down, and the two just inevitably drifting up into one another.
I've never felt this bad as a commentator in my entire career of sim racing commentary. And now I don't want to bring up the idea of bringing more drivers up here. I don't want to curse them if they're doing so well. Warren Kyle Keith, though, with minimal damage, he's going to come down pit road, and a couple of others are going to be brought down with him. It looks like his teammate for SKM, Alex Muscarella, is in. Same deal with Curtis Kelly, and also bring in the 13 of Gary Sexton among those that have hit the pit lane. Colin Forrester fell a lap down over the last caution. He is now going to be back on the lead lap. He'll get the wave around, and I guess I'll just turn over to our social media manager, Cameron Auburn, in chat saying give him a Sunoco gift card. I might just do that. I might just get him a whole gift basket at this point because that was tough.
Yeah, most certainly. Not your best look, Kenneth, but we've still got, don't worry, we've still got over half this race left to run, and so we can make up for it a little bit later on.
Hopefully we do. I hope the best for Warren Kyle Keith. I even talked to him after this race, but hopefully he can pick things back up. Still a lot of race left. So we know based on his long run speed that he'll probably be able to pick things up and strategize his way back to the front. Now, what this does do is move Chris Shoemaker up into second. We haven't really talked about the driver of the 4 all too much tonight, but the Prestige Worldwide Racing Ford Mustang has also been running pretty well. I don't want to bring him up in the booth for cursing's sake, but he has rolled from 20th on the grid to second right now. Shoemaker with an absolute masterclass, and the other Shoemaker, Austin, not too far behind, running pretty well as it stands in his position, P12.
Yeah, and interestingly here, there you can see started 12th and is currently in 12th. There's only 3 other drivers in the field that are able to hold on to that moniker of running where exactly they started. And it's going to be 12th and 13th, Austin Shoemaker and Zach Wilson. The third car, by the way, obviously going to be your leader here, Lawson Peel, who has looked very dominant since the drop of the green flag. I'm a little bit disappointed, though, here, Kenneth. I really thought Warren Kyle Keith was going to be able to give him a run for his money. He certainly looked like it coming through turn 1 and 2 on the last restart. Lost a little bit of ground, but Warren was starting to ease his way back forward again. Now we're going to have to see if Shoemaker, Harlow, Whittington, they're going to be able to carry that baton well.
Yeah, and for sure, and even without that contact, you would assume that the 24 would have had the run to clear Banks going into turn 3, and then would have had his eyes set on the race leader, who has virtually been unstoppable tonight. Lawson Peel, after grabbing the pole in qualifying, has led every single lap up until this point, and over the cautions, he's led this field. Throughout the stage, he's led this field. There's been no changes for a majority of the field on strategy. Nobody has made a split decision, at least for now. So general consensus among the entire field, it's kept at 12 at at the very front. We're going to double things up. Peel, your leader. He's going to choose the inside, though, on the restart. Chris Shoemaker on the outside. Ross Harlow going to be in third, and then the other neon or yellow-colored number, the 94 of Jesse Whittington, going to be on the outside in P4. Parker Bland has had a nice race so far. Bland is up inside the top 5. Austin Reedy has moved his way into 6. Justin Erb, Richard Swavely, Isaac Mock, and Steven Stepien, your current top 10. And to note as well, DJ, Stepien and Miranda, because of their pit stops, they had fallen significantly through the field. This chance could give them a shot at the top 5 and back where they were in the top 3 where they had been running so comfortably.
Yeah, those two drivers in particularly, I'm going to be looking at here at this point to try to move their way back through the field. But Parker Bland having a really, really good rear race here at this point. That number 18 machine just slowly but surely eking its way through the field. And those are the ones that we are able to see that normally be successful at tracks like this. Not the ones that are able to make those huge, huge gains up through the field, is normally they tend to be a little bit too aggressive. It's the drivers that drive with consistency and patience that get the rewards at the end of the day.
And those that are quiet as well. Not too flashy Parker Bland has been, but we'll look to see what that 18 can do in the next restart. Green flag back in the air for lap 56 of 140. Lawson Peel again clearing away of the field by about a couple of car lengths. Ross Harlow trying to tussle with Chris Shoemaker. That settled out quickly. Harlow was able to slot into second. Bland against Whittington at the exit of turn 2, in the entire field trying to settle themselves through, but all single file through the first half of your top 10.
And you know something here, Kenneth? If I'm sitting second or third here, I'm jumping on the radio. I'm having a conversation with these drivers around me saying, hey, we cannot be fighting with each other here for second place. We know the speed that Lawson Peel has. We've got to work together and try to take down that number 12 machine.
And what was the problem there the last restart was Brandon Banks was in the top 3, the teammate of the 12. We know how Brandon Banks already has a win this season after Dover Motor Speedway last week. And he wants a success. Parker Bland is around, though, on the back straightaway, collects Wyatt Brackett, Bill Schoonover. That appears to be another car in it. That's the 25 of Kevin Hurley. And our biggest crash of the night happens on lap 57.
That's it. We are no longer focusing on any drivers whatsoever here tonight, as now our director, Ryan Bowers, taking blame for that one. But that car looked very squirrely coming off of turn 2. You saw the rear end step out there, and then the big thwack there from the number 30 of Wyatt Brackett, just absolutely T-boning that car.
The first time, I think, as well, DJ, that I've seen, at least as far as I'm concerned, anybody really loose in the middle of the corner like that 18 was and tracked it down the track. The 96 got into the rear end and right there lost the car at the exit of 2, got into Justin Urban. There was a huge slam by Wyatt Brackett, then catches some other drivers. Bill Schoonover comes slamming in there. Travis Stevens with a bit of damage. Kevin Hurley in that as well. And our big one here from Kansas Speedway, Justin Winters has disconnected from the session. It looks like his night is over from America's Heartland. Here's another angle on the back straightaway from the 18's perspective. And after running in the top 5, being on the restart, it looks like this race has gone easily sour for the M&M's machine.
Yeah, it certainly has. We're going to ride on board here with Mario Miranda, who was able to get through all of this, just saw all of that take place in front of him, dove down to the inside. That is great accident avoidance here from the number 99.
It's great avoidance, but it's also a lot of luck. If that 18 tracked it down further on the racetrack, that 99 would have been on the list of casualties in this caution, but fortunately Miranda finds his way by. He has now found his way to 6, and with the damage sustained in that accident, Parker Bland has joined the pit stall back in P36. Alex Muscarella getting the wave around, and the one good thing that we could note here, DJ, over this race is that we haven't had a lot of drivers a lap down or more. We have had a couple of DNFs, one of them being Justin Winters, like we just mentioned. Wyatt Brackett and James Kunkel have also joined that list, but for the most part, we've seen drivers go a lap down, and then they're back on the lead lap. Cautions come out, they're back in contention with the rest of the field. So a lot of drivers on the lead lap, and really good to see over a 39 car field and 40 car fields that we've had in this series this season.
Yeah, most certainly is. That's going to make things very, very competitive. The other thing to keep in mind here is we're officially going to be halfway through this stage, and we've only had, if my numbers are correct, about 6 or 7 laps of green flag racing. It hasn't been a whole lot. And so I've got to think here at this point, Kenneth, that we're going to see a pretty frenetic race because you're not going to have to be doing all that much tire saving. So these drivers are going to throw caution to the wind and absolutely go for it.
And could that breed more cautions? We already had someone in the chat say it, and we don't need to say it for you. That age-old saying that cautions will bring more cautions further on throughout. And if you're having the situation like you had just pointed out, where you're not having a lot of green flag laps, drivers want to take advantage of points positions that they can gain prior to the end of this stage, we might just see aggression at an all-time high, maybe more yellows. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we continue to see this race go clean like it was in stage number 1, although you can never count anything out. And with me in the booth, with us in the booth, I don't think anything is out of contention for what could happen. Unfortunately, the curses have been dealt. Hopefully that's the last of it that we see from Kansas Speedway. I see some in the chat already saying for us to curse Lawson Peel. I don't want to curse anyone else. I've done the work, unfortunately, the work that I didn't want to do, and now I guess I'm just going to have to clean up the business as drivers do hit pit road, one of them being the 13 of Gary Sexton, bringing some others along with him.
Well, all right, at this point, we've had our director, Ryan Bauer, throw the curse. Kenneth, you've thrown the curse. I'm not going to say any driver name from here on out, just to be safe.
Here's driver blank, driver blank, driver blank. I think that's the way we're going to have to approach this race at this point.
It's just all car numbers. That's what it's going to be.
All right, doubling up here. Lights are off on the iRacing official pace car. Going to get set for a restart here on lap number 62. It's going to be Lawson Peel and Ross Harlow, two of those that have been running well so far in this race. Chris Shoemaker back in 3rd. Jesse Whittington slides up into 4th for SheriffStrafe.com Racing after starting in 11th. Isaac Mock, we saw him running the middle in his qualifying time, started 25th and now up to the inside of the top 5. Mario Miranda has found his way to P6, Zach Wilson into 7th, Austin Reedy into 8th, Brandon Banks and Justin Erb, those last two, completing your current top 10 in this Tornado Alley 210. And boy, with the cautions that we've seen so far in this second stage, you might as well say that a tornado has struck this speedway because things are getting awfully crazy. We'll be about 20 laps away from the end of stage number 2. So much left to cover for you. We did talk about the insanely hot track temp here at Kansas Speedway, currently at around 250 in sim time. Well, the track temp has stayed awfully crisp at 121 degrees Fahrenheit. These cars have been already loose and these tires have been wearing out insanely. We're probably going to see a lot of that intensified here over this next run. Pace cars down, Lawson Peel all control in the restart zone. We're back under green.
Yeah, and a very good getaway there from Lawson once again. Just absolutely caught Ross Harlow napping a little bit. Going to be a battle a little bit farther back with Whittington and Shoemaker as they try to dive down into the corner, and that's going to be Mario Miranda right back into it, trying to make it 3 wide.
Miranda looking for a comeback like the Sixers tonight against the Boston Celtics. On the inside of Jesse Whittington, cannot find the pass, and will try to look to the outside in turns 3 and 4. Peel and company switching lanes, whichever position you find yourself in, inside, outside, inside, outside. Some of those 3 wide. Peel will lead them back to the stripe. A bit of a battle behind them. Zach Wilson under fire by Brandon Banks and Isaac Mock. It looks like him in the 96 going at it for P6 on the track.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that 2 wide here at this point. A lot of those drivers trying to get a little bit of that slide job action going here at this point, but it's just not playing out. These drivers need to push as much as they can. They know what is at stake here with only about 18 laps to go in this stage. They want to try to move their way up into the top 10 and walk away with a point or 2.
And you're going to have to hope as well, DJ, that at least this run goes green for maybe 10 to 15 laps, even if it doesn't go green all the way, because if you want to be aggressive, if you want to make passes happen, you need green flag laps. You can't have these yellows consistently be thrown on the track and crashes happening. So right now, this is the sweet spot for many of those looking to be pinpoint accurate in their passes for position. Here's Zach Wilson underneath Brandon Banks, but a battle further up the road. Jesse Whittington under fire. Miranda looks to the top of the track. He might have position number 4 before they get to turn 1.
It certainly looks that way as he has that little bit of a look here at this point, trying to see Miranda carrying some good speed up around the high side. I think he's got it clear and good.
Miranda makes that pass complete, and Miranda, we talked about it when we interviewed him shortly before the green flag restart earlier on in stage number 1. He has had a pair of second place finishes and many here at this speedway. He has been known for coming up just short at tracks like these. Miranda, the last time we were here in the fall of 2022, was short by 3/1000ths of a second. He didn't lead any laps. He had the fastest lap out of anyone on track, but it was just that last moment after the restart near the end where he fell just short as him and that 96 were caught up near the grass on the trial wall. Well, guess what? Him and that 96 are 4th and 5th on the track right now, so a bit of a reunion here as they try and tail behind the 4 of Chris Shoemaker, holding on to the last spot of the podium.
Yeah, just holding on here at this point. We're going to ride on board with Chuck Phelps, who currently rides down in 28th position. That's going to be easily able to send a little bit of a move on his outside. And these two have got to be a little bit careful here, Kenneth. There's a big gap starting to form in front of them, and they've got to watch out. They're going to gain it back in, but you cannot be going too wide here for too long. You will lose too much time, and you will fall back down through the field.
And you're going to burn off your stuff, too. We talked with Warren Kyle Keith, and he said you run the bottom, you're wearing your right front. You run the top, you're wearing your right front. So if you go side by side, that tire wear is only going to get worse and worse and worse throughout a run when you're constantly dealing with another driver around you. Here's a nice battle at around 27th. Kip Easley and Charles Phelps, the two of the Chevrolet Camaros in this field, fighting for position. Phelps looking for the inside again, and not much success. It looks like Easley is going to be able to hold them off for the moment. Zach Wilson on the bottom of the track. This is around 13th. Ray Rogers, his teammate for RTR Motorsports, on the inside for position.
Yeah, holding that line. Again, we're seeing this too-wide action continue on through the field. I think these drivers are a little bit gun-shy with all of these cautions that we've seen, and they're frankly throwing a little bit of caution to the wind here as they are absolutely slicing and dicing. No thought given to anything else other than trying to gain those spots.
And we're now going to be at around 10 laps before the end of stage 2. So DJ, again, that frenetic energy that you had pointed out is only going to continue to gain itself and continue to show itself among the field. Zach Wilson into the outside wall quite a bit. He'll give up that spot to the 11 and make that 2 spots lost in the span of about a quarter and a half. There's the 46 of Joseph Mohar, and the damage not done quite yet. Here's Ryan Kendall, a look underneath in turn 1.
Oh, and they've got to be careful there because Wilson could be thinking about making that 3 wide, but that's going to be able to hold it together. Kendall doing a good job up through the field. There's that little bit of a slider blocking everything off, and they get relatively single file down the backstretch.
Kendall came home in P16 in last week's outing at Dover Motor Speedway. Zach Wilson on the other end of that table dropped to 31st after an incident late in the race. Here's on board with Reedy, and finally looking to the rear bumper of Chris Shoemaker. It's taken him a couple of laps and almost a bit of contact there. Entering turn 1, Reedy will dart to the bottom, and I think for the first time, DJ, in tonight's race, our top 5 is miraculously close together. Remember in stage 1, we saw just how far Lawson Peel stretched himself out amongst the rest of the field. It's only about a 10th or so back to Ross Harlow, and then only a couple of tenths back to Miranda and this battle between Reedy and Shoemaker. So top 5 really closed in together in these final 10 laps of stage 2.
Yeah, credit here to Ross Harlow. I thought he was going to lose touch here with Lawson Peel off of that restart just at the jump that Peel was able to get. But Harlow's been able to pull this in, and now he's actually going to be coming up alongside. We might have a little bit of a battle for the lead.
And Harlow's been running the bottom as of late, so not in the typical line at the very top of the racetrack. That 5 has been searching for clean air in the middle and on the bottom. So far, it's starting to work. Peel has not really abandoned that top side for this entire race. Miranda, though, in the same boat as the 12, although still picking up pace, and as they cross the line, Peel was faster, 31.715, but everybody else here, second and third, they're starting to close in. Miranda eyeing for P2, will have the run on the back straightaway on the 5. Will he make the move? No, he won't. Smart decision, says, let's not fight, let's catch the 12.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought there as well, Kenneth. I thought Miranda was going to bite off a big chunk of the apple there and go for it and try to make that move on Harlow, but he is thinking big picture here. Doesn't want to let them slip away. He knows that if Lawson Peel falls down through the order, this could be his race for the asking. And so he's doing a little bit of strategic thinking here, trying to push Harlow up in front, let those two battle, and I guarantee you if they do, Miranda's going to take this 3 wide and try to steal it away.
see what the 99 can do on board with the Tulsa, Oklahoma native. And again, you watch that 5 car dart to the white line at the bottom of the track. He's been one of those faithful to run that inside. It has worked in his favor the past couple of laps. This time it does not. He holds that gap at around 0.2 of a second. And here comes in Miranda to the picture. That 96 of Reedy, don't count him out either. He's just kind of hanging around here and in that same boat. Like you said, DJ, just let everybody do your bidding at the front and then take advantage when it matters most. Here's on board with Harlow looking at the 99. Here's another bump to the rear end.
Yeah, and I love that there that you can see Harlow physically looking in the rear view mirror, checking that closing distance between himself and Miranda. And now as they come off a turn forward, let's call that gap about 3-4 car lengths as they work down onto the apron. Lawson Peel running a little bit of a defensive line here. He knows what's coming on. And now my question is going to be is when does Miranda get frustrated with this? When there, I'm answering it. He's making it to the outside right now. He's going to go for the move. Harlow's going to try to slide up on him. I don't think there's enough space. Contact!
He shut the door. The 5 did not let the 99 in, and he stays in second. How long does that last, though? There's only a couple of laps left until the end of stage 2 at the cross mark of lap 80. Poor corner out of 4 by the 5. Here comes Miranda on a side draft for second.
Good heads-up play, using a little bit of that side draft. He's going to go to the outside. We run on board with Austin Reedy right now, who's sitting back in the popcorn position as they run side by side through the corner. I'll tell you who is loving seeing this out of his rear view mirror. That's Lawson Peel, because he's now extended the gap up to about 5/10 of a second.
And that gap was 1/10 of a second back to Harlow a couple of laps ago. And as they're starting to do the dirty work, that Chick-fil-A machine is only pulling away lap after lap. Harlow holds on to third. And now here comes the next challenger in the fray like Super Smash Bros. Reedy looking to the outside of the 5, never mind the bottom in turns 1 and 2.
Really chucking that car in deep as we see Harlow drifting up the track just a little bit, but I don't think Reedy's going to be able to get the momentum that he wants to off the corner, and indeed, the 5's going to be able to fight back with the benefit of the draft off of Mario Miranda as they now come down into turn 3. Looks like a little bit of a lane down there for Harlow. Reedy going to run the high lane, though.
Reedy's going to stay up there, but his corners have been really slow these last couple of laps by, specifically out of 4, where he flirts a little bit too much with that outside wall. He loses a lot of pace, and then everybody from the 99 and the 96 have been able to take advantage of this 5 car. Now the space is open at the top. Here comes Reedy for an attack for third. Now, obviously, the gap has grown between himself and Miranda, sitting calmly in P2 in these final laps of stage number 2. They'll stay side by side, but the 96 will have the momentum off of 4. He'll tag the outside wall and almost gets the 5 with him, but at the cross of the stripe for lap number 80, we're expecting that caution by race control. There it is. Lawson Peel has swept the stages in the Tornado Alley 210.
Well, and truthfully here, I've got to be honest with you, Kenneth, if Lawson continues this up, if he is able to get a good pit stop cycle here at this point, that 12 car is going to be hard to beat come stage 3.
Some notable drivers to enter the top 10 at stage number 2. Jesse Whittington, who comes home in 5th. Ray Rogers, who has had a great rebound in this stage after starting 23rd in the race. He is P6. Steven Stepien has found his way back to 7th. Chris Shoemaker, Isaac Mock, Brandon Banks among those to close off the top 10 in stage number 2. But if there's one thing to note, DJ, if you're this 12 of Peel, is that the field was way closer to you that last time by. Stage number 1, it felt like nobody could touch him, but here, Harlow with a challenge. Miranda got a little bit close, and if they had not battled, DJ, maybe we could have seen a challenge for the lead. If you're that 12, maybe some adjustments you need to make for stage 3 in order to establish further your dominance over everyone else.
Yeah, we could see him maybe make some air pressure adjustments here, because clearly if I were him, I would have made some adjustments going into stage 2 to be the car that was just up in the front to run a little bit of clean race pace and not have to worry about anything. Now, you got to recalculate a little bit. You got to think, I may be involved in a battle, and maybe trim the car out, tune it out to make it run that way.
And again, drivers are stacking up 1st through 3rd at the entrance of pit road. We saw that the last time everybody came in at the end of stage number 1. So similar situation, although nobody picks up any hard damage, and here comes the entire field to head for pit road. Among those to stay out, a lot of those who were lap cars. Parker Bland will look to get another lap, although Bland has fallen 16 laps down in the competition. This is only going to be a little bit of consolation. Curtis Kelly and company also staying out. just to get laps back and to hold themselves out with the rest of the field. Lawson Peel and company getting the 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. That Chick-fil-A machine might just lead him out. The 99 will beat him to the line, and our first lead change all night long happens on pit road. Mario Miranda, stellar 14.7 second stop.
Game on from the number 99. We've got a race on our hands.
The 99 out front, he will be the first new driver to take control of the lead here in this Tornado Alley 210. More on the other side here on Podium Esports.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Fuller. Yeah. Needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
What I'm really proud is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours?
Yes.
It's sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, it's like lifting, it's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more in the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive. Yeah. They exercise every day. So this is my creation. Amazing. And we did.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
First lead change of the night here in this Tornado Alley 210 happened in the place where you would least expect it. On pit road is where Mario Miranda just took the lead over Lawson Peel and will try to control the final 56 laps of tonight's race from Kansas Speedway. Welcome back to our coverage of the Sunoco Cup Series on Podium Esports. And for those who don't know where this Kansas Speedway is located, we were talking about it under break about what track is closest to its nearest downtown counterpart. Kansas City, Kansas is where you'll find this speedway. And the one thing that DJ mentioned at the top of the show, the 17 to 20 degrees of progressive banking has allowed this racing to be oh so great over this event. Green flag back in the air. Miranda leads them through turn number 1, and for the first time all night long, DJ, Peel's got some company around him.
Yes, he does, and he's got a little bit of a how you doing there from Ross Harlow. A bump. Peel somehow keeps it together as multiple cars in the field get loose coming off of 2.
He just saw his life flash before his eyes. Now he's trapped in the middle. 3 wide in turn 3. Reedy finds his way through for 3rd. Here slides in Jesse Whittington looking for 4th. But it instead will be a battle against Steven Stempien, who has slowly rebounded after some struggles earlier on in this race. Miranda clear by some car lengths. Here comes Reedy to the inside for P2.
He's going to be trying to make that move, but I don't think he's going to have enough of a send there on Ross Harlow. And indeed, that number 5 machine going to be able to hold it at bay. And look who's back into the fray. Here comes Lawson Peel down to the low side.
And you can tell Peel is so aggressive. He dove underneath that 96 and almost looked at second his own self. And he's got the quarter panel with a 5. We get the doors shut and try to settle back into the draft before things get a little too hairy. Ray Rogers and Steven Stepien now door to door, this time for an entrance into the top 5. Peel will search up high. Harlow will string down low. A bit of contact at around the mid-pack of the top 10. Rogers will fall back, and here comes Jesse Whittington and that Sheriff Strafe.com Racing Chevrolet.
Yeah, he's going to look down to the inside here of Ray Rogers to try to carry a little bit more speed, but I think Rogers is going to have the momentum. That's one of the things we've learned over the course of this run here and in the course of the night, Kenneth, is that especially at the drop of the green flag, the high side tends to be the way to go. It'll start to move a little bit lower down the track as the stint goes along, but certainly off the downbeat, it is high lane or nothing.
Jesse Whittington coming off of a 6th place finish at Dover Motor Speedway just a week past. He's captured a couple of top 10s in season number 6. As here's a look up ahead for P3. Austin Reedy on the inside of Ross Harlow. And how about that? Lawson Peel has found his way back to the front. This time not in the race lead, but challenging against your current leader, Mario Miranda. Didn't take him all too long. And boy, these two, DJ, have been on a roll throughout this season. Two of the best drivers in the Sunoco Cup Series. Head-to-head for the lead. Peel not quite able to grab the inside successfully in turn 2.
No, he's not, but he's going to try another look at it, I think, on this next time of asking, as that number 12 looks very, very good. That's a move we haven't seen, picking up the draft in the corner and chucking it down to the inside at the exit.
Just kind of looked like Denny Hamlin there in the waning laps of the NASCAR Cup Series race just a couple of hours ago. Contact between the leaders once and twice, entering turn 1. Slide job by the 12. Here comes the 99 for a crossover and more contact.
Oh, this is going to be some bad blood here between these two drivers. They are not going to like the way this is playing itself out, and that's really allowed for the rest of the field to catch right back up and in.
It has gotten really physical here at Kansas Speedway. That 12 has been hungry to get to the lead, and the difference on the pit stop in the lane, 40.7 for Miranda, 41.2 for Lawson Peel. About half a second of a difference that made things happen this way. Miranda's in the wall. Here comes Peel for the lead.
Peel into the lead, and Reedy's going to go on by, as is Stepien. Harlow going to be the latest one to try to put that number 99 into punishment here after they got up into the side of the wall.
And that's a small mistake by Miranda, but it cost him dearly. The entirety of the top 5, all within less than a second or so. They have been wrapped underneath a blanket, and you can tell Miranda a little bit frustrated at the incident, now caught up in some dirty air, although he's got his teammate Stepien in front of him. But there's no place like clean air at the very front. Here charges the 81 with a look for second underneath Austin Reedy. And again, your top 5 all clustered together. Look at Ray Rogers on the back end of this conversation. He might have something to say too.
Yeah, he certainly could be involved in this as well, as they're going to fan out there nearly 3 wide, coming through 3 and 4. Looks like, though, that 81 of Steven Stepien's not going to be able to slide up in front of Austin Reedy, and Reedy's now going to try to power his way down off the banking, and here we go into 1.
That was a bit of a bump there on the trial from the 99 to the 81. It got a little sketchy there. Contact for second. The 5 looking on the inside of Miranda. That will not have itself proven the way of the 5's favor, and the 99 will fill the space on the top side, single file at the high line here at Kansas. Stepien trying to fend for himself on the bottom, but it will prove no match for his 0G teammate. He's got drafting help. Peel in the lead, but not by much. Reedy and company starting to attack.
Here we go. This is for all the marbles here as we close down, under 50 laps to go from Kansas Speedway. Everybody slicing and dicing, trying to get their way forward. They smell blood in the water. Now the Lawson Peel is no longer the absolute dominant force on this track.
Again, second and third were the drivers who finished first and second the last time we were here at Kansas Speedway. And here they are. They find themselves in the same company with this time with 46 laps left to go. A bit of a hiccup there by Miranda will open the door for the 5 of Ross Harlow. He's looked further back at Jesse Whittington in a fight with Chris Shoemaker for P7. And arguably enough, they might also have a challenge for these guys at the very front, because your entire top 8 or so all within about 1 second and 3/10. It is miraculously close with this entire group.
It is very, very close, but we've got to talk about something here at this point, Kenneth. With these guys fighting as hard as they are, I've got to like here what I'm seeing out of the likes of Jesse Whittington, Chris Shoemaker, those drivers that are just holding back in the back and letting this all play out. They're saving tires, but we've got a yellow.
Caution out, Chris Progar and Judd Danielson caught up on the outside wall. Both of them together sideways. Second accident of the night for the 7 of Progar. Remember his situation on lap number 1. Progar just trying to figure out where he sits in the midst of it all as he gets that contact, and our caution comes out at lap number 96 before Peel could have so much pressure on his rear end. As here's the caution, and the result of it, I think 3 wide and a bit of contact.
Yeah, I think just some miscommunication there among those drivers that they just didn't fully appreciate where each other were. Progar and Danielson just kind of not really understanding where they were in terms of racing room, and, well, there's the touch.
And they were in the middle 3 wide as the 10 of Dakota Curtis was just hanging out on the bottom side of the racetrack, and the space just closed up. There's nothing either driver could do by the time they made that contact. Just a weird angle here coming off the tri-oval. Here's a look from Gary Sexton. Just close, but found his way on the inside.
Yeah, very good avoidance there from Gary. He just kind of kept his nose clean, didn't make an error there, let everything play out in front of him, and was able to jump on the binders in just enough time to be able to avoid that becoming truly calamitous.
Well, now here's a look at the situation from Kansas field on to pit road. But a quick reminder that our coverage of the Sunoco Cup Series and the Tornado Alley 210 from Kansas is brought to you by SK Sim Racing and all of their support. They have been an absolutely amazing partner of the Sunoco Cup Series. They have a team in this field with that 85 of Judd Danielson. They also have Sean Kalis and Joseph Mahar. SK Sim Racing, a proud partner of the Sunoco Cup Series. And to learn more about all of what they offer, you can go to sksimracing.com. The field is on pit road. This is where we saw the change of hands for the lead happen. DJ Clark, Peel, and Miranda will find their way out. Austin Reed chucking himself in the middle of that group, but we do have some that are staying out. Austin Shoemaker, Joseph Mohar, Garrett Brown, all hanging out on the racetrack, 1st through 3rd.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of that strategy call that I was talking about that may come into play here in this 3rd stage. Everybody having to top up on fuel here at this moment because they're going to need it. I don't think they're going to be able to make it to the end here on a single tank of fuel. They're certainly not going to want to make it on a single set of tires, so that'll change things around for these drivers for sure.
And it's also going to change around their track position. Shoemaker in this race started in P12. For Joseph Mohar, he started this race in 28th. Garrett Brown started from 30th. So these drivers have been kind of mired at the back or the mid-pack of the field. Now it's kind of their opportunity. Although they've got some old tires, it's just for track position, and we understand, DJ, that it's been pretty hard to pass at Kansas Speedway. So just like Dover was not too long ago, you could probably stay out and have yourself an advantage being so far up front. You've got some clean air. Everybody behind you has to do a little bit more work to get around you, and with how tough it is to pass it, it might just be an equalization effort by the top 3 and then everyone else.
Yeah, very much so, and I think for these drivers, it's a good call for them to try to stay out, roll the dice a little bit. I'm always a big fan of these alternate pit strategies here as they come into play. Just see what you can do. See if there's a way to be able to make this play out. If it does, well, you're going to be sitting very, very pretty come the end of this race.
We'll see. One of the drivers who's sitting pretty right now inside the top 10, that is the Logitech G Ford Mustang of Dakota Curtis. And here we bring in Dakota. Of course, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And a beautiful paint number 1 on the Ford Mustang. Our producer Ryan Bauer says the same thing. But you're rolling in the top 10 now, 42 laps to go. What's your mindset?
I mean, just trying to recover after the wreck that I got involved in. I made it into the, top 15. I had a terrible qualifying, just absolutely awful. And just trying to make it back up to the front. So I got around 15th, went from 39th to 15th, and got involved in a wreck, then had to go back. I had to use a set of tires there and didn't want to use any this time. So I'm on the oldest tires besides the people up front. So just hopefully try to get out of everyone's way and not cause, hopefully I don't get dumped like I've done the last 4 races. So.
And quick stop, 6.3 seconds using fuel only as we double up here and over the first 2 stages and in these final 40 laps. Is there anything that you have taken note of, particularly of racing here at Kansas, that you might be able to use to help you propel forward here in the rest of this event?
Running the high line's pretty good. You just gotta hope it gets loose up there and it's not tight. And get tight going into 2, and you could be hitting that wall. So hopefully I can just stay up top and get out of people's way. So.
Well, hopefully things turn around for you. Hopefully things go well in these next 40 laps. Dakota, thank you for joining us, and best of luck on the next restart.
Thank you.
We'll let the 10 car rip. He had a 6.3 second stop, so he did not take tires, although he did pit with everyone else in the field, and he's got the oldest set of rubber, but the top three also on some pretty shady Goodyear Eagles in their respective categories. Austin Shoemaker, Joseph Mohar, those two to round out row number 1. Lawson Peel, Garrett Brown, those settled in row number 2. Garrett Brown also on old tires. Everyone else from third on back, for the most part, got some freshies. We'll see what they can do in their attack for the front. Pace cars down. The 14 brings us to the restart with 40 laps to go from Kansas.
All right, seeing a pretty good start there from the up and coming through the field. That's Shoemaker in particular that's able to get it to go. Lawson Peel trying to make a move here on Joseph Mahar as they come down through the corner. And look at that Reedy with like a train with a full head of steam coming around the outside.
He is charging on the outside. He's got drafting help from Miranda. And all of a sudden, top 3 are clear single file. Here comes the 12. Move underneath the 14 for the lead out of turn 4. Peel's got the side-by-side action. He's got a chance at the lead. The 96 and the 99 not too far behind either before turn 1.
And watch Reedy. Reedy's looking really, really quick here. He's going to be down to the inside, hugging that line as much as possible. I don't know if that's going to play out. He's got to watch out here because there's Miranda, almost a little bit of contact there with Shoemaker.
The 14's trying his dearest to keep his Prestige Worldwide Racing car in contention for the top 5. Now here comes 0G driver Steven Stepien in the 81 to look underneath. Miranda finds his way by. He'll challenge on Austin Reedy. Again, all of them trying to chase down that number 12 side-by-side action at around the latter half of the top 10. Battle for P8, Garrett Brown, Jesse Whittington into turn 1.
Here they go down into the corner. This is certainly starting to get a little bit spicy. Drivers trying to figure out where they want to go, how they want to be able to make this to play. As the 11 takes a peek down to the inside, Ray Rogers trying to carry some speed. That's the 4. That's Chris Shoemaker. May have made contact with the wall.
He just kissed the outside safer barrier, but loses a little bit of time, but nonetheless, it won't be too detrimental. We'll find his way back to the rear bumper of the 16. Now here's Whittington looking underneath Austin Shoemaker with the fresh tires. Joseph Mohar way up the track invites the 11, and all of a sudden, we've got almost 3 wide action in turns 1 and 2. It settles out to 2 wide. Here's the 94 underneath the 14, finds his way by to P6 and trying to catch up to your top 5 as Ross Harlow DJ again remains loyal to that bottom. He's not changed all night long.
No, he certainly hasn't. And, well, it's a simple matter here, Kenneth. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep running it if it's working out well for you. I get that from Harlow.
Yeah, but if you're the 5, you also don't want to wear out your white front so significantly. We saw in one of those last long green flag runs that 5 was up to the back bumper of the 12 and then just burned up his tires a little bit too early. Found himself in that scenario where he had to back out. Everybody else in the mix. Contact in the mid-pack. That was the 4 of Shoemaker all over the racetrack and almost got into Garrett Brown and company. They save it, but it's a huge gaggle of cars up at around 15th.
And that is the luckiest save I have seen over the course of the night here, Kenneth. He got up into the side of one car. He got into the rear of another car. It is incredible that we did not see more cars turned around. And
look who's in this group, the 31 of Colin Forster. Boy, we haven't seen his name all night long. Apart from the first stage of tonight's Tornado Alley 210, it's been a rough go-around for the rookie driver, but slowly but surely finding his way back to the front of the field, side by side between Joseph Mohar and Isaac Mock. But look up at the field, contact between the 46 and the 47. They go around, they collect Warren Kyle Keith, and Miranda in a situation of his own as the caution comes out.
With 34 to go, this is going to be a death knell for the number 99. Very, very heavy damage on the right-handed front side of that car.
He got hooked by Austin Reedy right as that caution was waving. My goodness, an unbelievable set of circumstances that will most likely take Miranda out of contention for tonight's win from Kansas. And we'll try and get a replay and see exactly how it all unfolded.
Yeah, let's take a look here. That green 99 in the center of your screen, working up behind Austin Reedy, backs off a little bit, coming down into turn 3. Just going to try to hold it together here at the moment. Goes down to the inside here, able to carry good momentum. That's a well-timed move from Miranda. And then here's where everything starts to go wrong. He thought he was clear. He thought he was clear.
he thought he could make that crossover happen. He was at least attempting it by the time they got out of the tri-oval entering turn 1. But unfortunately, that 99 was there. Here's another look at it from the overhead view. The 99 darts to the apron, finds himself in second. That 96 thinks he's clear, like you said, DJ. That minimal contact is made, but the angle is enough to send Miranda hard enough into the inside wall that the right front toe link is toast. Here's a look from Stepien.
Yeah, let's watch this. This is going to be really, really a prime angle to be able to see exactly what happened here. Stepien tried to follow him on through. He got back up. And yeah, Miranda just wasn't clear. I don't think he recognized that he wasn't. It's as simple as that.
For Miranda, the luck not striking in the right way is here's exactly what happened before that contact between the 96 and the 99. It was the 47 and the 46. Isaac Mock on the bottom, Mohar on the top. Just a clear case of both of them making contact, and they collect Warren Kyle Keith. They almost get Justin Urban at 2. And there's the 24 up into the wall. His night has been pretty tough ever since that incident inside your top 3. He's an overhead shot and just the minimal contact on the tri-oval.
Yeah, just enough there. And what makes that so particularly deadly there, Kenneth, is coming up and over that apron. Even when you're running at full speed by yourself, that's a very sketchy proposition to make. It's very, very tricky to get it right as you come up and over there. And you can feel the wheel kind of jump out from your hands. And so you've got to be especially careful when you're making moves on another car over that section of the track.
And you've also got some miscommunication too, right? Because you're thinking of a tri-oval that's got a wide open apron. You can go down there and run it. It's not necessarily an off track. It isn't out of bounds. You can run there, gain position. Some drivers do it, but there's a lot of drivers that don't. They hug that white line right there into the start-finish line, and they don't even touch the apron because they just want to conserve their tires, and that's the line they're comfortable running. And sometimes you can either predict that they will, you predict that they won't. In that case, none of them did, and then they just got a little too close together. That's like contact. And as we're looking at the battle for second, Reedy trying that crossover, unfortunately catches that 99. Miranda will have to look for next week's race to have more luck on his side, and that will be at Darlington Raceway on May 14th. So Reedy's going to stay in second. Stepien has settled into third. Lawson Peel, though, has still been in control of the race lead, but the biggest difference, CJ, has been gap. Was way ahead of the field in stage 1. It's kind of wore down a little bit in stage 2, but it was still somewhat there. Stage 3, it's kind of evaporated in some cases. If you're that 12, what do you need to do to keep yourself at a gap from everybody else? Are you just hoping that they battle, or are you going to try and change yourself and your style a little bit to stay out front?
I don't think you should be changing style here if you're Lawson Peel. I mean, you have been the force in this race thus far. So, once again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep doing what you're doing. But I think what it is that what you may want to do is flirt around with these drivers running second and third a little bit. And what I mean by that is maybe try to draw them in a little bit. Make them think that there's a chance to be able to get on by you. And then as a result, they're going to check up their momentum to try to time their run. When they check up a little bit to try to get that timing right, that could set up a run for the drivers behind. And that is really what Lawson Peel wants to see. He wants to see a battle here between the likes of Reedy, Stepien, Harlow, Whittington, Swavely, all of these drivers. He wants them to duke it out. So if he's able to do that, then it's game on.
He's got a lot of hungry drivers behind him, and those that so far do not have a win in 2023. One of them is that 96 of Austin Reedy. He's been close, but he hasn't been able to find a win just yet. Stepien is the exception of this group. He won at Las Vegas. Ross Harlow also too, since his win at Richmond. But you look at Jesse Whittington, Ray Rogers, Richard Swavely among those that don't have wins this season, and neither does Lawson Peel in the 12. He's been hanging around all season long. He's been close, but he's never found that space yet. It took him 6 races back in season 5 to win a race. So far, it's been 7, and now almost 8 if he doesn't win tonight's race, where he's been winless. Your defending series champion looking to find himself at the top of the board once again. Pace car is down. Restart with 29 laps to go from America's Heartland. The Tornado Alley 210 back underway.
And that is just about as good of a jump as jumps could be from Lawson Peel. He's going to have about a 0.2 of a second advantage on the rest of the field. But unfortunately for him, Austin Reedy doesn't look like he's got competition right now for that second place position. But there is a battle going on between Harlow and Stempy, and that's going to allow for Reedy to close in a little bit more. Exactly what Peel wanted to have happen, but he's still going to be happy with the gap he's pulling.
And all of them using the same line up at the top of the racetrack. And while we've seen a lot of low line running from Ross Harlow in the 5, it looks like he is just kind of ducked out of that for the moment. We'll see if he changes his approach as he gets a little closer to the 96, running a little lower in turns 1 and 2. You'll have the 81 of Stempian hot on his heels. Meanwhile, 3 wide and around 7th on back. Brandon Banks stuck in the middle. The 32 of Richard Swavely on the top. Chris Shoemaker on the bottom. They settled it back to 2 wide action. But as they go side by side ahead, this entire pack just forming up and creating a hornet's nest.
Yeah, and it really and truly is a hornet's nest here at this point, almost coming into each other right there. Colin Forrester trying to split the gap a little bit. I wonder if Colin's been able to save his tires just a little bit more. Because remember, he looked quick here early on, but at the end of stage 1, that's when he really started to fall down through the field. He's got to be careful there. Kurt Shoemaker right behind him. Chris Shoemaker right there behind him almost made that 4 wide.
Yeah, almost did, but he backed out and made the better decision. He's going to slice through the middle here. That's the 54. Brandon Banks still manning the top, and he got loose in turns 1 and 2. That's why he dropped so many positions back to the 31. He was right in front of him about a lap and a half ago, and they're still trying to decide amongst themselves. This is a running for P7. Forrester on the bottom. He clears that position ahead of Swavely, who now goes against the 4, and here comes Ross Harlow underneath Austin Reedy for 2nd.
All right, there's the move. Harlow going to try to chuck this down to the inside. And once again, music to the eyes of Lawson Peel. This is what he wants to see happen. He wants a battle behind him.
He looks in his rearview mirror and he looks happier than ever. That 12 is only going to look to pull away further inside these final 25 laps from Kansas Speedway. Harlow again faithful to that inside line. Boy, he has been romantical with that inside all night long. Reedy going to hold on to the top. He'll grab the momentum. He might bring in Steven Stempy to fill that outside lane. Not enough so far. And Harlow is going to continue to put on this pressure, but not sure if he knows that the 12 is going to continue to pull away. And Ray Rogers, how about the 11 inside the top 5 now in this group?
Yeah, you saw a little bit of a look there from Steven Stempy and thought about trying to make it 3 wide. He's now going to be trying to follow on through. And Kenneth, we're getting reports through the entire field here just to give our viewers an idea of how bad this tire wear is. We're getting reports of downshifting on both the low lane and the high lane. Listen to this coming through the corner.
Top of 4th gear, that's the upshift to 5th. And watching through the top 5, DJ, he's the only one that's doing that. Austin Reedy stays in 5th. Steven Stempy still in 5th gear. Ross Harlow is still in 5th gear. Maybe that could attribute to why this 12 has been so good throughout runs, and especially out of the corner exits where he can carry a little more acceleration with the higher revs, and might also be an explanation to why he's fallen off just a little bit on short runs. Everybody can pick him up because he's downshifting and just kind of dealing with the change of momentum in revs. But so far, it has been working to his benefit, and Lawson Peel downshifting, but it's successful. Holds on to the lead with 22 to go.
Once again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep doing what you're doing, Lawson. As we ride on board with Ray Rogers here, one of the few taking the flirt down to the low line. Ooh, maybe a little bit of contact there from Ross Harlow up in front, up on that high side wall. Now here comes Rogers. I think he's done enough waiting around. He wants to make some moves.
He's going to look to the inside. The Florida native finds his way underneath Ross Harlow. But how long can he stay down there? We've seen here in Kansas just how tough it has been to make passes happen on the low side, just because all the momentum rides with the progressive banking at the very top. Rogers going to hold on to the middle. Here's Jesse Whittington behind this group in P6. He seems to be the only other driver, as far as I'm concerned, DJ, in this top 10 that's also downshifting. Take a listen in turn 3, right there.
Yeah, he's popping it down into 4th gear, coming through the corner, and that's one of the great things about Kansas, and what this package is absolutely setting up is that we've got all these different strategies, we've got all these different ways to drive the track, and it's presenting an absolute crackerjack of a race with 20 laps to go.
Yeah, that's true. And similar to the drivers in real life in the NASCAR Cup Series, they also had to deal with downshifting in the middle of the corner. A bit of a hiccup there by Rogers, going to open the space up for Whittington to take over 5th. Here comes Colin Forrester, rookie driver, in the Tide car, looking underneath for P6. And again, Forrester on the rebound from what happened to him at Dover Motor Speedway, got caught up in an early crash and ended up in an abysmal place just 1 week ago beneath the top 30. He's looking for a huge turnaround here, and a driver, DJ Clark, that sits pretty decently in the standings, although he's not inside the top 20. But that 31 has been really fast, and I think tonight it just might be an extra boost of morale after what happened to him at the Monster Mile, where he got so unfortunate in that contact.
Yeah, exactly. And for a lot of these drivers, and for really any driver, you need that boost of confidence coming in after a very, very tough run. You want to have something that just kind of reminds you, as it were, you know what? I've got game. I can do this. That was a fluke that I experienced. And so I like to see this back here from Forrester as we ride on board with Curtis Kelly right now. A little bit of a battle farther back in the field. Kevin Harley, Justin Erb, and Aaron Adcock going 2x2 up in front.
Just going to correct myself here. Colin Forrester is 14th in point standing, so still inside the top 20. That 31 has been oh so magnificent as a rookie driver. And I remember talking with Brandon Banks last week after his win. He said, it was so hard. It's so hard to win in this series, and it really is. We've seen how tough it is for these type of drivers to get to victory lane, and the same was said with Aaron Adcock when he won at Talladega. He mentioned just how difficult it is to win in the Sunoco Cup Series. Him and Forrester share that identity of being rookies in the series, and Adcock under fire by Justin Urban 11th, went on board with Steven Stepien, who DJ has been building up a run for 2nd, now looks on the bottom of Austin Reedy out of 4.
Oh, and that got a little bit sketchy there with Reedy, but I think Stepien's going to be able to get that move. Little bit of a smile there out of the driver of the 81. He knew that move was there to play, and now he's going to set his eyes up ahead on Lawson Peel. And let's see if he can be the one to dethrone this red number 12 machine.
And how about SheriffShafe.com Racing, represented by Jesse Whittington? He's had some great finishes this season. He finished 6th not too long ago, finished 10th the last time we raced at a 1.5 miler. That was at Las Vegas earlier on April 16th of 2023. All of a sudden, he's got a nice points-paying position and maybe a win in the cards if things go his way. Harlow's going to fight back on the inside of Reedy, who tags the outside wall in the middle of 1 and 2, inviting the 94. 2-for-1 opportunity, looking for a podium.
Good run there, and now he's going to be having that little bit of a look. No, he's going to keep the car at about, let's call that the middle to high lane. Now going to move his way back up to the high lane as he continues to go his way around. We look back here at the number 11 of Ray Rogers trying to make a little bit of a move here. He and Forrester going at it.
They're going at it for position indeed. Forrester started in P6, Rogers on the other end in 23rd. 2 different stories for either one of these competitors as the sun slowly creeps toward the horizon past 3:35 in sim time. The 11 makes way to complete that pass for P6. They're slowly bringing in that 32 of Richard Swavely. As further up ahead, Whittington, Austin Reedy challenging for 4th. Ross Harlow found his way by them.
Yes, he did. Harlow, who was a little bit of a way to try to get his way up into that top position here at this point, but they've got to be careful. 7/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second, the gap between himself and Stepien. They do not want to spend more time fighting here at this point, and I think Harlow has just got to focus in on trying to close that gap up ahead. He cannot look from behind him.
Now, the good news here for the 5 is that the 96 and the 94 are tussling for position heavily. So if you're this 5-car Harlow, maybe you don't need to worry about that rear view mirror after all. You're just looking ahead out the windshield, focusing on your car. And there you see him looking off to the right just a little bit, maybe just looking at telemetry. And the 5 looking to pull away. Whittington completes the defensive stance against Reedy to hold on to 4th, although he's going to run the inside, and Reedy might just take this momentum at the exit of 2 to take the spot back away. But all single file through the field so far. First side-by-side action through the grouping. It was almost about Brandon Banks, Chris Shoemaker, and here's Curtis Kelly looking at Justin Erb in the 20.
Yeah, and got almost very friendly with that left rear quarter panel there of the number 20 machine. Going to bring the car up the track. Careful not to pitch. They are going to make contact, though, as they come across the stripe.
That was really close, but fortunately they keep it straight. No caution waves. You see the damage on the 71 that he's picked up from earlier contact in the race. He does win that battle against the 20 and Justin Erb, who started this race in 3rd and an amazing qualifying effort. starting to be on the back foot here, 14th, with about 10 laps left to go. I see somebody in the chat saying Jack Harlow plays iRacing, question mark, seeing Harlow on the timing screen. Well, Harlow certainly not riding in first class, as the challenge from behind comes in the form of the Sheriff Strafe Chevrolet of Jesse Whittington, looking to the bottom for third.
Yeah, here he goes, looking down into the corner, trying to be able to take that away here if he can. Ooh, a little bit of stress there from Ross Harlow. I think he's starting to feel this a little bit, as he is not really able to close down that gap. Remember, the Stepien and Peel gap that we talked about, it's up to 1.5 seconds. He's now got to be driving in his rearview mirror. He can't be looking ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of distance between these two right here, third and fourth, and then that battle for the lead, first and second. Here comes the 94 darting to the bottom, and we noticed this at the end of the long run. Earlier in the race, DJ, we saw a lot of short run pace out of the 5, so good at the medium pace, but then once you stepped into a long run, that 5 started to struggle little by little, and ultimately it came to a full-on cliff where he's stuck in the mid-pack and drivers are easily getting more grip than him around the corner. Fortunately for Harlow, he holds off that challenge by the 94, but it's just a matter of how long he can hold on to it rather than can he pull away.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's fully what we're talking about here at this point. As we look a little bit farther back in the field, this is Forrester looking to the outside of Ray Rogers. This is just behind that battle for P3 that we were talking about. Forrester, I'm really impressed with him here today, Kenneth. He has done an absolutely fantastic job to be able to get his way back up into the order. I frankly wrote him off a little bit at the end of the first stage, and he has come back to put himself right into the question for a top 5.
And you would think as a rookie driver, your first season in the Sunoco Cup Series, that you have a hiccup, you get put to the back of the field early on. Some drivers can just fold in that moment and not be able to rebound and keep that resilience in mind. But this 31 has been resilient. He's been so good at making sure that the mistake early on in the race does not define him for the rest of the event. And here he is with a possible top 10 on challenge, and even some more spots ahead with this 96 and the 11 not too far in front of him. We are closing in on the final 6 laps in this Tornado Alley 210. And one thing, if you look in the horizon, DJ, there's lap traffic ahead of the 12 of Lawson Peel. So this race is far from over as you ride on board with Forrester again.
Deary, deary, dear. Just when we thought the story was written, it continues to write itself here at this point as that battle back for about 5th place position goes single file down the back straightaway past the distinctive green outside barriers as they now come down into 3 and 4. Looks like the 94 trying to make that work up on the high side. Jesse Whittington holding off an attack there from Rogers. A little bit of contact into the outside wall.
What a run by Ray Rogers. Stepped into 4th looking for his best finish of Season 6. He has not seen the top 6 on Ford the entire campaign up until this point. Rogers with a statement effort tonight from Kansas. Jesse Whittington also could tie his best finish of the season at around the top 6, although he's under fire. Same deal for Reedy, who will drop back to 7 as Lawson Peel will catch 4 laps to go with lap traffic in front. That's Parker Bland ahead of the 12 by a couple of seconds.
All right, yeah, he has definitely started to do it, but here we go. How is Peel going to be able to deal with this traffic, and just how nice are the drivers around them going to be? That's going to be the real question here for this number 12.
And now for the 81 of Stepien, who has been tailing behind Peel this entire run. He's gotten pretty close. He was around 2/10, 3/10 of a second or so. He's fallen off significantly, but lap traffic could be the great equalizer here out of turn 4. Looks like Parker Bland's going to give way to your leader. Probably won't give that much of a challenge either to the 81. So at least in this case, it won't be that detrimental if you're Stepien. But look at the car in front of the 12 now. The 99 of Mario Miranda. Could we see some drama here in the closing laps?
Oh, we very well could. About 2.5 laps to go here. Remember, 3 green-white checker attempts for these drivers, so that could come into play here as well. But now it looks like it's clean sailing for the number 12 coming down to the line here as they go. He's going to be taking the 2 to go mark from Barney the Flagman.
2 more laps left and only 3 miles to go. If you're the 12 of Lawson Peel, he has yet to pick up a win in Season 6 of the Sunoco Cup Series. His last win of the season, or the series rather, came at Homestead of Miami in late October of 2022. Boy, has it been a rout, and although he's been close many times, including that race against Mario Miranda at Circuit of the Americas, this time could be the charm. Out of turn 4, looking for the white flag.
All right, he's able to clear on by Miranda. That's going to be smooth sailing here for the number 12. I have to think. White flag taken, 1 lap to go.
1 second separating Peel and Steven Stepping. The only lead change in tonight's race was from Miranda to Peel on pit road, but that 12 has been virtually unstoppable all night long. He's been so good at these 1.5-mile tracks. He's a previous winner at Kansas in Season 5 earlier in the campaign, and out of turns 3 and 4, the defending series champion is welcomed back to the playoffs. The Tornado Alley 210 goes to Lawson Peel.
A commanding drive out here today for Lawson Peel, Kenneth. I really don't think there was any doubt over any point of this race that that number 12 was going to be the car here to beat.
He is the 4th different winner in the last 4 races in the Sunoco Cup Series, so continues that streak by a long shot and closes off his 15th career Sunoco Cup Series win. There's Colin Forrester, good friend of his. Both of them race in another league on Wednesdays. And they see each other every week, and that 31 of Forrester knows how good the 12 is every time he gets out on the racetrack in sim. And Lawson Peel brings us tonight's Sunoco winning moment. More high-performance racing engines rely on Sunoco race fuels than all others combined. For over 50 years, Sunoco has been fueling the top race car drivers around the world with high-quality performance fuels they can trust to power them to the checkered flag. Sunoco, fueling victories from track to tank. Outstanding dominance by Lawson Peel in the 12, who parks it at the start-finish line, deservingly so, led the most laps and takes away his first win of Season 6. Celebrations continue, post-race coverage on the other side. Here with the Tornado Alley 210, we've got more here on Podium Esports. Don't go anywhere.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Fuller. Yeah. Need an F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Hi guys, today me and Moose welcome to my extremely formal presentation of my 2 latest creations, the MPI Sync Chassis and the MPI Foldable Stand. When I created the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything included, what it means. So in the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything you need besides the electronics. So it has the keyboard tray, mouth tray, adjustability, TV stand, computer stand, super stiff pedal assembly, a seat that if you want, if you don't have a lot of space, you can fold it. If you have limited space, I solved your problem. The MPI wheel stand, you can use any component you want on it, and at night, fold in half, very limited space, and you can put it away. You can use your own chair, your own TV, problem solved.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Many storylines to take away from the end of this Tornado Alley 210 here from the virtual Kansas Speedway. Welcome back to our coverage on Podium Esports. Kenneth Bueno, DJ Clark with you on the call. And Ryan Bauer producing all the shots with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Here's a look at the unofficial race results, and for the first time in Season 6 and for the 15th time in his Sunoco Cup Series career, it is Lawson Peel grabbing win number 2 for Drinkin' Bros Racing, and also second time in a row that DBR ends up in victory lane off of Brandon Banks' win last week at Dover. Steven Stampian comes away in P2. A great race overall by the 81. Found a way to rebound from some early struggles, and the Ford Mustang is right behind the 12 at the end of it. Ross Harlow, who had been so good on the inside line and really consistent all night long, he closes it off with a podium. We'll talk to all 3 of them before we conclude our coverage tonight. And the Florida driver for RTR Motorsports, Ray Rogers, Indy 11, picks up his best finish of the season. 19 spots gained since lap number 1, where he started 23rd. An absolutely amazing finish for Rogers. Colin Forrester, the rookie driver for Fast Banana Racing, also rebounds from some struggles earlier this evening. He closes out the top 5. Jesse Whittington matches his best finish of the year by far. He comes home in P6 in his Chevrolet Camaro. Richard Swabley to follow suit in 7th after starting 22nd. Austin Reedy fell a little bit back in that last run, although he sets a lap, an ending lap that's good enough for P8. Brandon Banks to come home in 9th, and rounding out your top 10, the 47 of Isaac Mock. DJ Clark.
In 11th place, it was Chris Shoemaker, followed by the Big Fish Motorsports driver number 23 of Adam Adcock. Then it was the other Shoemaker of the form of Austin there in 13th place. The independent driver of Ryan Kendall gets a great finish there to come home 14th, followed by Garrett Brown. Curtis Kelly comes home 16th for Fast Banana Racing. Then SK's driver there of Joseph Mahar finishes in 17th position, followed by Justin Erb, who fell down the order there. A disappointing day for the number 20 machine. Zach Wilson was 19th and up 1 spot on the day. Brad Fulham rounds out your top 20.
Sean Kalis goes from 39th on the grid and brings the SK Sim Racing 4 to 21st. Kevin Hurley is 22nd at the end of tonight's race. He was caught up in an accident earlier on in the back straightaway. Casey Knighton is 23rd. Travis Stevens to bring it home in 24th, and Dakota Wilson to round out your top 25 here from Kansas. Chris Progar ends up in 26th, and it was a pretty tough night for that 7 car. Alex Muscarella, not much out of him this evening. He comes home in 27th. Bill Schoonover in 28th. Judd Danielson to be in the top 29, and Charles Feltz to round out your top 30.
In 31st, it was Curtis there. It was Dakota Curtis finishing in 31st. Then it was Gary Sexton in 32nd, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Behind them, an unfortunate day for Warren Kyle Keith, an early contender we thought was going to have a good run. Behind them, it was Kip Easley, then Mario Miranda, who also looked like was going to be a contender, but finished multiple laps down. Parker Bland came home at 36th, followed by Justin Winters, Ryan Brackett, and James Kunkel.
That's your 39-car field to wrap things up in the Tornado Alley 210 here from Kansas Speedway. And the one driver to stand above them all, the most dominant of the night by far, and for the first time this season getting the win on any track so far. Lawson Peel in the number 12. We're joined by him in victory lane. Lawson, I know after last week's race at Dover Motor Speedway, where your teammate Brandon Banks got the win, and you told us earlier in tonight's race how ecstatic you were for your teammate, and you were yelling, and you felt like you wanted to be a part of at least being on track. It was a tough one for you last week. You rebound in such a phenomenal way, and you bring this dominant run home with your first win of the season. Just give us your thoughts and emotions right now.
A lot of relief, and I'm super pumped. I knew that I was gonna, have the potential to put on a performance like that. I was just nervous. I was telling Brandon all night, I just felt like there was gonna be something that happened that took it away from me. For the life of me, I don't know how Mario beat me out of the pits there at the beginning of that third stage. I mean, I put it right on my sign. I thought everything was fine, and he beat me out, and I thought, man, that might be it right there, because it's impossible to pass. And I know, we all sound like a broken record saying that, but it really is. It's pretty much every track we go to now, including the road courses, including the short tracks. It's just that effect of being right behind a car and not being able to, turn through the center and get a run off of the corner on him down a straightaway. It's just so much more prevalent in this car than, even even the last package before the update we had a few months ago, it's just really hard to pass. And I knew if I could just keep the lead, park it on the top, and just have everything go work out for me with the cautions and things like that, that I would be really hard to pass. I'm glad I got back around Mario there. That was not easy to do, and yeah, I'm just relieved. It's not been a bad season, but it's not been a great season. I just hadn't broken through and gotten that win yet. A lot of guys have, like my teammate Brandon Banks, and we've had a couple first-time winners: Curtis Kelly, Aaron Adcock. Ross Harlow got a win at Richmond after not getting one last year. So a lot of guys have been winning, and I just don't have a lot of good tracks on the schedule. Or as many good tracks on the schedule as I did last year, so it's less opportunities, and I knew that this one was definitely one of them. I mean, it's the first track I've been excited to go to since Vegas, so just really glad I took advantage tonight.
You definitely took advantage, and by a really dominant stretch, and you led the field. Other than that little switch of position between yourself and Miranda, you had taken control ever since. And you talked about it as well. A lot of drivers taking victories this season, and were you 6 races into season 5? That's where you got your first one of the year on your way to a championship. It's taken you 8 so far in 2023. Was the pressure sort of mounting each and every passing race week that you felt like you had to get a race win? And how nice does it feel to finally check that off your list and have yourself kind of transition into the playoffs with some momentum on your side?
Well, I don't know if I had to, but I really wanted to. I was sitting there 7th in points. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't have too much to complain about. I mean, I finished pretty well. I really wanted to win that race at Coda, and I just couldn't get it done. Felt like I could win at Vegas, and that was an awesome race. The last 10 laps of that race, I just kind of got in the wrong line and couldn't do anything. And it was kind of circling this one after that, and Man, it feels great. It's but yeah, I don't feel like I needed to do it, but man, I wanted to. It's been a long time coming. Going back to last year, but Mario's gotten 2 wins, and a lot of guys have gotten wins, and I really wanted to get one. So yeah, I'm super excited.
A lot of elation here after this win at Kansas Speedway, and now we work toward the rest of the regular season where you've got to win in lock. Does it give you more of an incentive to run aggressively, or is it just a notion of learning with each and every race and taking notes so that by the time the playoffs come around, you've got a whole notebook in hand that you can use to try and get a second straight Sunoco Cup Series championship?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely relieves a lot of pressure. And last year, once I got that first win, I was like 27th in points when I got that first win at Kodo, which was like the 6th race of the year. And then after that, I just went on a tear. So I think it just has that effect of just, kind of de-stressing you. You got the peace of mind knowing you're locked in. You can kind of just focus on going out and winning stages, hopefully winning more races, accumulating the playoff points, and not really having to be worried about kind of like I was tonight, just what could cost me the win. Because I knew that I really felt like I was going to be the best car, especially on those long runs. And I was just super paranoid all night. You can ask Brandon. He was just having to listen to me. Just like, I thought there was going to be a caution in that last stage. And we're going to have to pit, and then maybe people stay out or take 2. And just really relieved. And yeah, I feel like I can relax and just kind of go ahead and get to work now.
Good feeling all around, and I know next week is Darlington Raceway. Your teammate Joe Sanchez won the last time we were there. He's the last one of DBR to get a win this season, so maybe just bringing the success and sharing the wealth throughout the entire team. Lawson, we thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us. Congratulations on the huge win here from Kansas Speedway, and wishing you the best of luck, and obviously, welcome to the playoffs.
Thank you.
That's Lawson Peel in the 12, dominates this race by a large margin, takes home his first win of the season here at Kansas Speedway. We'll toss it over to second, DJ Clark. You're caught up with the 0G Ford Mustang of Steven Stepien, who closes out the middle of the podium.
I am indeed, Steven. A good run there out for you. It looked like you were pretty much in contention the entire way around, but obviously that not the tail of the tape, as it looked pretty tricky out there in these conditions.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely... I was trying everything those last 10 laps. Just like Lawson said previously, it's just tough to pass. And once you got the dirty, you just can't really do much. And this being a single lane track on the high line, being the fastest way around this place, somebody else running that line, you just once I sucked up to him and got 3/10 off of him, it was a wrap after that. I just couldn't gain anymore.
Well, talk to me about your frankly battles that you had up in the pack up for the top of it, because that was some pretty fantastic racing that we saw, and it looked like that we were able to go a couple of wide there, at least off of the restarts.
Yeah, no, the restarts were really hectic. Obviously, everybody's trying to grab position, not knowing. We kind of had a little bit of a stretch where we had a lot of cautions there. And I think everybody was just getting antsy, trying to get some track position to get up, move ahead. And, you can make the bottom work at the start. And then after that, it just, obviously I saw it the first stage when I was behind Lawson for the stage one. And, I knew some of the guys that were around the bottom. I mean, we were 2-3 seconds ahead of those guys that were trying to do that. And, Lawson was even more ahead. So it was an interesting race, that's for sure. I'm glad I rebounded tonight, though, because I had a mistake in the first pit stop in the first stage. But missed some wrecks and rebounded, so I'll take it.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that rebound. I mean, coming back through the field, they were able to miss some of those wrecks. What was your mentality? Was it absolutely, I've got to push to get back up to the front, or were you just kind of piecing things along one by one?
I was more along the lines of just, piecing together lap by lap, just try to pick off positions. Obviously, I knew I was pretty quick from that first stage, hanging in there with Lawson pretty good. And I knew I was going to rebound eventually. I just got lucky tonight. I had a couple of close calls tonight with a couple of wrecks out there, so I'll take it, man. About time, because I had a crappy way to start the season. I was getting involved in everybody else's mistakes at the beginning of the season, so.
There's nothing worse than that, my friend. But next time out, Darlington should be a good run across the field. You got some good hopes coming into that?
Yes, sir. I'm calling my shot right now, Mickey Mantle. I'm winning next week, so you guys put that on. I'm really confident at Darlington. I love Darlington. I won last season here, and I got a lot of wins under my belt here at Darlington. So that thing is circled, and I'm looking forward to next week.
All right, we're going to hold you to that, Steven. I better be talking to you at this time next year, or next week.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
All right, well, we'll talk to you hopefully that time next week. Steven Stempy and everybody, your second place finisher here from Kansas.
I'm holding that over Steven as long as I can until next week. We know he's quick in this entire season overall. We'll see if we can back that claim up at Darlington next week. We'll talk to the driver who comes home in third in a stellar run by SKM's Ross Harlow in the 5. We're joined by him now. And Ross, obviously an amazing race put together by you. Very consistent all night long, very fast. But the one thing I noticed, and DJ talked about it too over this race, that you did differently than everyone else, you're running well, wrapping the bottom. How were you able to do that tonight?
A lot of rear brake, honestly. It was pretty nuts. I don't think I've ever seen a number that low on the bias. Had it pulled way back and was able to just get the car to drive down hard, and it was almost like running the Gen 6s a couple of years ago. You could actually get it down there and get it to rope around and use the throttle to rotate it. It felt really good. It just, you got next to somebody and got that little bit of a pinch, and the car just couldn't carry any speed out. So wound up having to go up anyways and just kind of rim ride and hope that somebody made a mistake.
And there in those final laps in a sustainable battle there with Ray Rogers, Colin Forster. I know Austin Riddy was in that group as well. What was it like to kind of hold on to your car and just keep your composure trying to catch the top two while holding off everybody fourth on back?
I'll be honest, I pretty much accepted the fact that I wasn't going to be chasing down Lawson and Stempy. Those two were in a league of their own tonight. I mean, congrats to them. But, it was really just, right around the top at that point and take care of the tires. And I knew if somebody got to the bottom, got underneath me, they were going to have a real hard time, making the run work. Stempy and I, or not Stempy, Austin and I went back and forth a couple times, finally made it stick on the top. And, it was just try not to mirror drive too much. Just run your line, hit that seam and make sure the thing keeps turning.
We end up with a positive podium finish here from Kansas Speedway. We look to next week. We know you already got a win this season at Richmond, so you're well enough in the playoffs. But Darlington, a track that has treated you well in the past. January 9th, 2022, you picked up that win with the Gen 6s. Do you think you've got a nice chance to win next week with these next gens?
I don't know. I mean, Lawson's got them figured out, but I'll tell you, I've got next week circled. I've had it circled for, since they released the schedule. Darlington's one of my favorite tracks on the server. It's fun, it's fast, it's not forgiving in the slightest. Should be a lot of fun. Just going to be kind of a similar issue to here. It's just keeping the car rotating on the long runs. But I think we figured a lot out tonight that we can carry forward somehow. Transfers, but should be a lot of fun here. It's I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you out on track, Ross. On behalf of our entire broadcast team, congratulations on the 3rd place finish, and looking forward to seeing you at the track. Too Tough to Tame 1 week from now.
Yeah, thanks, Kenneth. I appreciate it. And thanks to all you guys up in the booth, all the Sunoco Cup Series admin team, all my sponsors, TVP, G&G's Gift, Millie Mermaid's Trove, Team Watson Racing Setups. And then, of course, my whole family, mom, dad, little brother. And the biggest thank you to my lovely fiance, who I think is actually asleep right now. But it's always a ride here, and y'all put on a hell of a show for us.
Much appreciated. Ross Harlow ends up 3rd here in the Tornado Alley 210 from Kansas Speedway. Might have to have him as the offer card for him versus Steven Stempien at Darlington next week. Stempien calling a shot. Harlow very good at that track over in South Carolina. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, we'll toss it over to a 4th place interview with DJ Clark. And you're caught up with the driver who performs so well here tonight. His best finish of the year. 4th place for Ray Rogers.
Ray, 4th place, as Kenneth just said, your best of the year. But I think the thing that most intrigues me here is up 19 on a track where we've been hearing drivers say all day, you can't get a pass done.
Yeah, it is. Once the tire kind of gets, heated up, it is hard to pass. But I kind of figured something out there on how to kind of get around the guys, that were causing, starting to wear their tires out. And obviously it paid off a little bit.
I mean, can you share trade secrets?
Sure, because it doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah. So what was your secret, man? What was your way to get on by him?
Well, what I figured out was, for me, I couldn't run the high side. I tried to get up there with them guys. I just could not really make it work. So what I figured out for me that worked for me is enter like a lane high and arc it down. That way I can stay in the throttle and keep it below them, because I know they were on the outside. So I was able to get a straighter run off the corner, and it actually worked for me. And the tire wear was actually pretty decent, so it worked out.
Well, all right. I am feverishly taking notes here on this. I always love to hear the details on how you're able to make it work. But clearly a good run for you out here today, bringing this over the course of the rest of the season. We head to Darlington next time out. Obviously, another little bit of a high side track tends to be. How do you like your chances there on the number 11 next week?
I like Darlington. It's a very obviously tricky track. You got to be patient there, or you'll be in the wall. But I like it, and definitely will. Hopefully, we can we've turned this thing around, because I have not had the best of luck this year.
Well, hopefully luck is going to turn your way here a little bit. Ray, I think this could be the very change in everything, most certainly for you, because this was a great run for you, my friend.
I appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of fun, finally.
All right, Ray, good luck at Darlington. We'll see you next week.
All right, bud, guys. Take care.
That is 4th place for Ray Rogers. DJ, I love the hardcore journalism. That's prime time action right there to get the details. Because, I mean, we have to know. Everyone was saying it was so tough to pass tonight. It was very true. We need to have the little secrets. I might use it in the next A-Fix or so. But nonetheless, regardless of that, DJ, outstanding race from Kansas Speedway. The biggest thing of note, Lawson Peel absolutely putting on a clinic. He led almost every single lap. He led this from the pole. It's a first race win in a long time since Homestead Miami back in October of last year. So it's a huge momentum booster, and also 2nd straight win for Drinkin' Bros Racing. They're starting to put it on as of late.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little bit of that momentum, and we always talk about that momentum over the course of the season, but it's not just with an individual driver. Sometimes the team can have that big mo, and so that's exactly what they need. But Kenneth, really and truly, I've got to agree here with what Steven said. I've had Darlington circled on my calendar for pretty much since the schedule came out. This track that we come to next week, always one of the highlights on the NASCAR calendar, and it is going to be truly spectacular to see what these drivers are going to be able to do there. I think we are going to be in store for some very, very fun racing.
challenging but really fun. It's a driver's track. Steven Sempion, we're going to hold that on him, though. He's called to win that race next week. He has picked up a win already this season at Las Vegas. We'll see if he can go for win number 2. He's got a lot of other drivers, though, to beat before we have that settled. An amazing race from Kansas Speedway in America's Heartland, and one that will close off here tonight here on Podium Esports. So for Dakota Curtis and all the admins at the Sunoco Cup Series, and a big thanks to our broadcast team tonight. For our producer this evening, Ryan Bauer, our camera creator, Dougie Beard, and my colleague in the booth, DJ Clark. For everyone at Podium Esports, Gary Sexton and John Theodore, my name is Kenneth Bueno. So long from Kansas Speedway and the Tornado Alley 210. Congratulations to Lawson Peel. The track Too Tough to Tame is up for taming next week. We'll see you then.